I've just started streaming, Jack. So
Cool.
let's get PTCGO up. That would be good.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Where are we, PTCGO? Come on. There we go. You're here. Chat working? I hope chat's working. Simon F8, how's it going? Oh, is my chat box not working? Oh no. Okay, let's Streamlabs. What are you doing?
Help me. Help me, Streamlabs.
Let's launch it.
We'll launch it out window.
And the alert box. Let's launch that bad boy as well. Why is the chat box not working? Let's try again. Oh dear. Don't tell me I've got a... Oh, for goodness sake.
So as you can tell, ladies and gents, we're back to our usual unorganised selves this week.
Every week.
Never lucky.
Every week. Okay, let's get a chat box in here.
Beadling already. We are indeed, Simon F8.
Bloody hell.
Beadling already.
Why are you not working? Should log in. Why is the chat box not working, eh?
Max Pot, hello. Thank you for joining us. Deadly B, we are indeed supporting the Slowpoke well. I feel like we need a different logo though. That one looks really, really blocky.
It's literally a block. Let's move him.
Square.
Move him down to the bottom and. Oh, what is that? I've got random pictures here all over the place. Those are like old memes. Oh, bloody hell. Out of the way. I haven't got time for this. Got to fix the chat box. Okay. Right. Why? Why, oh why?
Mowgli Amari, hello.
God's sake. Haven't touched it.
Hello.
Haven't touched it all week. Why would it choose to fail now? I'm gonna log out of Streamlabs
when
and
you
log
need
back
it.
in.
Yeah. Jack, guess what happens when a Slowpoke rolls down a hill and hits a Bunnelby at 70 miles per hour? On the way back from Liverpool at 11 PM at night. Oh god. Looks like that was a fun journey home, that Mad Captain.
The analogy does sort of fall down when you realise it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the Mark face. Oh, yes. He's a Mark sub now because Mark made top 8.
Nice.
Oh, chat box, why have you failed me? What's going on here? It is a browser source, isn't it? You just browse a source, copy the URL of the chat box, and it's done, right?
I think so, yeah.
Let's try it again. Okay. See, it goes invisible. It does the good old invisible thing. Just doesn't become visible. Very curious. Huh. This other stuff working. Ooh.
How was Liverpool? It was a really good weekend. I didn't do too well, but I had a lot of fun.
We're going to be going over Liverpool today, a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me it's going to be a chat boxless stream. That'll be so sad. I can't be bothered to keep flicking back between everything. Bloody Nora. It's going to be bad enough today because we have nothing to do on PTCGO. So I was just going to throw up an Excel file. Oh.
But now we can't even see the chat.
Bloody hell.
Is Jack hashing out his dissertation? No, someone was asking me if I wanted to play games with them, and I said, unfortunately, stream is on a Wednesday. Oh, he's adapting, he's moving the logos.
I'm upset about this.
The Bumblebee gets KO'd. Well, I guess it was inevitable with Bomb. Aww. Mad Captain, why you gotta... Right.
Bloody hell. The worst thing is, PTCGO is like, we're only doing it for a bit today.
Yeah. How about to make up for no chat, next time we have a stream with only the chat? That's a fantastic idea. Just the chat box.
I need to see what this list is before I start going on a tangent.
This stream looks so cheap before it looks at somehow with some love. Yeah, why have you got rid of the OmniPoke stuff? Gah. Gah.
Well, it just means we'll have a weird little thingamabob. What is this? For God's sake. I have so many stupid things around. Because I've just put memes everywhere. Everything's hidden. Layers behind memes. Memes behind memes. God's sake. It just looks so bad now. I'm upset. I'm deflated. I've wasted all my positive energy trying to convince the world that Neuwern's good just a minute ago.
How did Jack do at Liverpool? We'll be talking about it a little bit later on, but I didn't do great.
Bloody hell.
I got the classic Jack Old not being able to finish games syndrome. Which is a condition. I have had it checked out.
Good. What's my last card in my deck? What am I forgetting here?
It would be the weekend that it would be the week that neither of us really want to play Pokemon as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Let me see in my list. It's on my phone somewhere.
Power Mouse is here. Look at these marker votes. They're brilliant.
Oh, it was this. Okay. Oh, I can't just look over to chat. Bloody hell. I've got to completely change this. Got to change up my strats here.
Situation.
That boy Seb, how's it going?
Liverpool's not good for me either. I was on Super Tilt all week and still have not recovered. Oh, that's a shame. I didn't feel too tilted, but yeah, no, I didn't do great. But still, that's all to come. Beedrill fanboy, welcome. What format was Liverpool? Primal Clash to Guardians Rising.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out my tabs here. Okay. Alright.
Have fun playing in a relevant format for 3 hours while getting memed at by chat that no one else will be able to see.
Well, we're not going to be playing any PTCGO today. We're going to talk about our Liverpool things on PTCGO, and then we're going to be cracking the world's format, I think. So,
giving it a good go.
May as well start, I guess. No one really cares about this format anymore, so
get it out, get it over and done with.
It's just for people who are curious or whatever. So, for Liverpool, I decided to play Decidueye.
No, you didn't.
So wrong. Let's start that again.
That's just a lie.
Jesus Christ. Ooh, okay, it's gonna be one of these, huh?
Oh,
For
for
Liverpool,
Liverpool.
I decided to play Zoroark. Um,
Oh god.
um, because I was expecting some Grampas, some Espeons, some Decidueye, which me and Jack had tested. We were pretty even against.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I was very happy to face Volks, very happy to face Vika Volts, very happy to face like a lot of the tier 2 stuff. Everything like, so the tier 1 stuff was like Grandpa and Decidueye. I felt I was good against Grandpa and I was okay against Decidueye, and then against all the other lower tier stuff, I believe I was like even or favored.
Mm.
So it seemed like a really good safe pick with not too many downsides. No real matchups that I was scared to play against other than Metagross. But because of Worlds and stuff, Volk was just gaining more hype. And even after the NEIC, Ryan Saberhouse's list gained a lot of hype, right? So
Yeah.
I felt there wouldn't be too much Metagross, especially because Metagross didn't do well at the NEIC. It was just pretty much back off the radar for everyone. So felt like that was a good bad matchup to have, if that makes sense. So the list is just pretty basic, nothing too flavorful here. Very, very simple list. I think I was experimenting most with double Kukui or single Kukui.
Mm-hmm.
I found double Kukui to be really helpful against Decidueye. And when we start talking about my rounds, it's a bit annoying that I didn't play double Kukui. But at the same time, when I was against Decidueye, I never really had time to weave in single Cuck either. So it was never too big of a deal. It's just when I was doing a lot of testing, it was with double Kukui, so maybe that influenced my results against Decidueye. So yeah. I guess we can just do a round by round. Jack,
Yeah.
I'll have to ask you about your list in a minute and build it and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
So round 1, I'm up against Decidueye Ninetales, and it's also playing a 1/1 Yan Mega line. So it's more like the Brazil list that made top 4, I want to say. Brazil Internat's list. And
yeah, I think it's top 4.
the Yan Mega took me by surprise, not gonna lie. End up losing game 1 after committing 3 energy to Drampa with a choice band and righteous edging with the Kukui play. So one of the things about Kukui in the deck is that you can righteous edge with a choice band and hit 70, and then next turn you're doing 180. And this means that you KO a Decidueye in 2 hits and actually cash in on the righteous edge. So I did the righteous edge play, discarded DC off Decidueye, but then on his turn in response, he float stones, gets a Yan Mega out of nowhere, choice bans the Yan Mega, and double pings to KO my Drampa. And that was really hard to come back from, because it felt like I was super safe that turn. It felt like, you know, even if he was to choice ban... No, he already had a float stone on his active, so I knew that... Well, I thought I knew... No, wait, hold on. No, he didn't have a tool on, but regardless, he was doing like 120 with a Decidueye maximum plus 2 pings. So I thought the Drampa was safe, and it just didn't end up being the case, and that pretty much swung the game out. What is going on with my Skype? I need to mute this. Bloody hell. Oh, God's sake. How do I mute a chat, for God's sake? Because this conversation is going to go on loads, because there's like 10 people in here. How do I mute it? Bloody hell.
Right click on the chat maybe?
Yeah. Hide conversation. Does that do it?
If only Mark wasn't streaming, we could get his reaction on 1/1 Yan Mega. I didn't realise Mark was streaming right now.
So yeah, I think like it was who was it that was playing it? It was a good UK player. He had a lot of CP last season. I can't remember his name. I didn't write down names. That's really bad. But yeah, the 1-1 Yanmega in game 1 pretty much swung game 1 in his favour, like hugely. So I couldn't really deal with that Yanmega for a while, and it got a lot of value.
Yeah.
But game 2 I was able
Jack
to...
Culkin.
Yeah, there you go, Jack Culkin it was. Correct. And... yeah, in game 2 I was able to stabilise just so much better. He also got 3 Decidueyes out in both games, like super quickly, so the clunk of the Yanmega never really hurt him. It was never an issue. He was always able to set up really nicely against me. I think he played double Revitalizer, which helped. He was always establishing big birds, and they were always getting their pings off, but I was able to win game 2 convincingly after losing game 1. Basically on that one tempo turn, I could feel the swing go straight over to him, basically. Game 3 we never had time for. It was a long game 1 and 2. Game 3, we both knew it was going to time pretty much. We just played out the first couple of turns each because, you know, who knows, I could donk him, he could donk me with a buttload of owls or whatever, but that was a tie. Round 2 I'm up against another Decidueye Ninetales. And this one also ends in a tie. I really can't remember this one too much. I always feel the matchup is super close. And it's really hard to define where you lose against Decidueye, because especially when you have a Rangaroo, you don't really get end out of the game anymore with Zoroark. It's just sort of, if they put you in these weird turns where you just can't Lysander on this turn, or you can't Hex on this turn, and it's just that little bit too much that tips you over the edge to where they're favoured and where they get ahead in the race. For a lot of you who have seen the streams before, I tested a lot with Zoroark Umbreon, and potentially playing the Umbreon list would have been more helpful this weekend because, you know, my first 2 rounds are Decidueye, and I actually played Decidueye again later on, so maybe that was the better call. I know someone did cut with Umbreon Zoroark in top 32. But yeah, maybe it was just one of those things. I still think Drampa really puts a shift against Decidueye. It's just in a different way.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Yeah, another tie. And then in round 3, I also tied Decidueye Ninetales. I'm just going to pretty much run through it because I can't really remember much of it anymore. But yeah, the third tie against Decitails. So my first 3 rounds are all Decitails, and I'm pretty much bottom tables at this point. I really convincingly win game 1, really convincingly lose game 2, and I remember scraping game 3 on, like, making sure I didn't lose game 3 after 3 turns by doing weird, like, hex plays when I have basically no board. So I was pretty happy to scrape out the tie in round 3, to be honest. It's just one of those games where he gets to go first and he just goes off because he knows times are coming. So he just completely just starts shaming digging and just getting the tempo going, and it's just too much to deal with. And yeah, happy to take that tie at least, even though it was my 3rd tie of the day. So basically at 0-0-3, it's the equivalent of 1-2, so I have to pretty much win out for the rest of the day. I can afford one more tie to make it. So round 4 I play Volk. This is quite an easy matchup, able to win it. It was weird games. I can't remember how I won one of my games against it, but I remember him like doing loads of steam ups and shell traps and stuff, and that being really annoying for me at the time. And I haven't seen shell trap be used too often on Turtonator when it's a Volcanion deck, but he was actually using it to good effect, and that was weird to see. Because he was basically setting up so he could come in again with Baby Volks and force as many non-EXs on me as possible, which was a good plan against me, to be fair.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. Still able to win out, and also in round 5 I'm able to beat a Volk, similar circumstances. Round 6 I beat a Ninetales in what is such a close series, such a cool series that I had. I'm able to win game 1 convincingly, but game 2 he plays completely differently, and just he pretty much learns the matchup like after losing game one, it's like then he just knows the matchup inside out and just plays so much better. That it comes down to a point where my game one was really slow against him because I end up having to foul play hug like 6 times because I was dead drawing. And there were cards in my hand that I couldn't even drop down to a Rangaroo draw. It was like Special Charge, Teammates, Bridget. Like, these were stuck in my hand. And I top decked like 6 turns in a row, just things like Rescue Stretchers and stuff that I couldn't get any value out of. So I started hugging him. He started rough seizing. Then I continued to hug him. Then he stopped rough seizing. Then I Lysandered his other artillery and hugged him 2 more times before taking a prize. And all those draws eventually got me out, which was so important for me. It did mean that he had 2 fully charged Ninetales ready to go for the later turns, but it didn't matter because the prize race was there. And in game 2, it was coming close to time. I know that for certain. And I debated. I had a choice, like, after maybe like 6 turns. It was like, I wasn't doing too well. I wasn't getting too well set up, but I had the option to go for the Lysander hug plays again. But I didn't end up going for that. I ended up trying to just deal with the Ninetales, and that kind of went okay, but it meant that I pretty much ran out of attackers, and by the time was called, he was like super ahead, and he was able to like snipe a Shaman for 2 prizes.
Wow.
And I think you came over at that point, Jack, and you were watching, and he was 1 prize remaining. My board was a Zoroark Break and a Coco, and he had pretty much everything going, and it was down to turn 3 of time. No, he was going to be the last turn of time. So basically, because I've already won game 1, all I have to do is not lose game 2. But because I had literally nothing going for me, I ended up, on my turn 0, I went for a banded foul play to copy Blizzard Edge to do 190 to his active Ninetales. Then he takes 1 prize by dealing with my break, and he then has a Ninetales on the bench with a single Water Energy, and he mallowed that turn. So I basically knew that he guaranteed game next turn, because there's a Ninetales with 20 damage in the active, and still 2 Water Energy on it, because he used a DC to pay. And on the bench, there's a Ninetales with 1 energy on it. He has 2 artilleries in play, and like a Lele. Everything has a Float Stone, if not an energy. So there were no like stall targets for me, and I only had VS Seeker in hand. I couldn't hex him out of artillery draw. Because his deck was like 8 cards, I knew N wasn't an option, because he basically needed Aqua Patch. So if I'm able to KO the active, he needs Aqua Patch for game. So I ended up, after thinking about this turn for like 5-10 minutes, I eventually Lysander up the Ninetales with 1 energy on it, so he can't do the Aqua Patch plays, whilst I'm also dealing with the other Ninetales because I finished on a flying flip. So that was a pretty cool way to not lose game 2, which then secured me the win, which is really cool because I thought it was a really weird play to go for, but it was so cool how I set it up. I set it up like 2 turns before as well, and I was like, man, if this pays off, it's such a meme. And then it did. It was great. So he was like so like frustrated because he then mentioned to me that his last minute change on the day was to cut Olympia as well. And Olympia basically would have won him both games against me because I was doing the hug stall, and then in the other game, Olympia again gets him out of that bad spot so he could go back to patch retreat again. But anyway, that was pretty cool. Then I faced Aquabox, Tubbs. I win a really nice game 1. Game 2, I am super ahead. It's so disgusting how ahead I was in this game. And I go for a Shaman. Literally, we get to... He gets to 2 prizes. No, he gets to 1 prize, but he literally has no board. He's only got a Lele left to attack with, basically, with like 1 water energy on it at the time. And I also have, I believe, 1 prize remaining. I go for a Shaman Dig in a 15-card deck in which I have 6 outs, 6 energy outs, and I Shaman Dig for 5 cards and whiff. and that basically means I have to stand in with another Zoroark and not get hit with an energy drive. And I do all these shenanigans, and he top decks 2 answers back to back, which makes him not lose the game. He top decks a Water Energy from a Manaphy, so he can retreat out and not lose the game the following turn. And then the next turn, he top decks Kukui, which then also draws into another Water Energy to then KO my Oranguru, which was super sad. That was in game 2, so I ended up tying that, and I felt I really should have won that game. I was so unfortunate that didn't win that game. Sad, but that was a really rough tie to take, because as you guys know, I've played Aquabox for the last like 2 weeks, so I know exactly how the matchup goes. I know its weaknesses, I know its strengths. So not being able to close that was pretty annoying for me. In round 8, I face a Drampagarb that does actually play Zygarde. So it was hard to play against, but I was able to win out in the end. I basically just went for 2 shots on the Zygarde proactively while they were trying to power up on the bench. It was quite easy.
Yeah.
So this is going into round 8, where I was... what was I? 3-0-4? Yeah.
Yeah.
So then round 8, I faced the Grandpa to go 4-0-4. And 5-0-4 is the 19-point line. That is essentially the same as a 6-2-1 record. So I'm essentially on winning in round 9. I faced Gyarados, which we saw in Birmingham. It was the final, and Gyarados ended up coming up on top. And basically, because I played Coco, it was just so much better. It was just such a nice matchup when you have Coco. I did get a couple good bits of luck my way. He flipped 3 Catcher Tails against me, and I also flipped Foul Play for Thrash. The Gyarados has Thrash.
What does that even do?
It does 100 damage, but 30 more if you flip heads. And I flipped heads on Thrash 3 times as well, so I could one-hit his Gyaradoses, which was pretty good.
Wow, okay.
The thing is, it looked like he was getting tilted by it, and I can see why. It seems like it's a big, important thing, but it really isn't an important thing, because the 100 damage is equal to 130 in my eyes, because you can Flying Flip to clean up the Gyarados anyway, because of weakness, whilst also dealing with the Magikarps. So, although I was flipping for Thrash and hitting heads and taking the prizes, had I had flipped all those tails, I also believe it didn't matter. The only thing is, he has to then, attack my Zoroark break whilst not attacking something else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it was fortunate, but I feel like it's not a great matchup for him anyway. He did play Machoke. In game 1, he prized Machop. In game 3, he prized Machoke. So, I pretty much had a good rub of the green against Gyarados, to be honest. He also took some interesting lines, though. There was a point where he double puzzled to take back a catcher. And in doing so, he didn't guarantee the KO on the active. He was just banking on the catcher flipping and taking 2 prizes on a bench Tramper that was already damaged. And because he flipped tails, he then couldn't KO my active Zoroark. He had to do 90 to it, and that was a really bad turn for him. Whereas if he had puzzled for a safer route, just gone for another Magikarp or gone for a Stretcher or whatever, he would have been much better position, I think. Much safer turn for him. But I think it's because he had already flipped tails on the catcher. He was like, right, puzzle catcher. I want this to work now. He was trying to kind of flip the board back in his favour, so I can understand why he did. But when it ends up being a double tails, it looks like a misplay, right? So, yeah. So yeah, I ended up 5-0-4. Unbeaten day 1. Sweated it out all day because I pretty much couldn't lose a game after round 3. And I was pretty content with it, to be honest. I think the deck performed quite well for me. My ties were sort of... It's against probably one of the best decks in format in Tales. I believed it was one of the highest power level cards, so I was fairly happy to not lose any of those games against it. And I never really felt like I really deserved a win against any of them. I felt the ties were all very fair ties. And Decidueye just has long games, man. It's hard to define when to scoop against the Decidueye, because you can feel really ahead against it, and then suddenly they go for a Shaman Dig, plus a Sycamore, plus a Revitalizer, and then there's like an extra 2 Decidueye on the board, and the map is completely different for the next 3 turns, and you're like, man, I was ahead. What has happened here? They're getting an extra 2 pings a turn. That's an extra 120 damage that you've not accounted for, basically, for the next like 3 turns. But whatever. Orlando Breloom. Round 3 was chill, man. I can't really argue the fact that we tied. They were all fair ties, to be honest. But yeah, it ended up that when the standings came out, I was 34th seed rather than making it into the top 32. I believe there were 8 people on my record.
Yeah.
No, on 621 records that made it, and I believe there were 7 that didn't. So it's not like I was the super unlucky one. There was about 50-50 of getting in or not.
Yeah.
So I was just on the wrong side of luck. It's another bubble for me. Another tournament whiff. No big deal. But it was pretty annoying. Especially because it was such a poetic day for me. I was like, man, starting off 0-3 and just
winning
Cinderella storying my way up. Oh well. Yeah, so that was pretty much my day at Liverpool.
Yeah, mine was kind of similar.
Have a look at this list, Jack, and see if
anything different. First things first, let's make sure we're talking about the same deck. I won't have Decidueye Ninetales because, you know, I've just been playing it all the time, so stick with what you know. That's the exact list I played.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, played it the night before and finished off some matchups that I didn't feel too confident with. Learned a couple of things here and there, so felt alright going into day one. Day one, I've remembered 8 of my 9 rounds, like on the spot just here, and then the one round I can't remember is my one loss, which is really awkward. But started off with a Greninja, and as free, quote unquote, as the matchup is, game 1 it was literally a free matchup. He started Lone Star You and went first, and couldn't get another Pokemon out. So turn 2, I just got 2 Decidueye out, which was kind of very, very, very sad for my first game of the day to be 5 minutes. Game 2, he actually was able to get set up because I had to discard 3 energy turn 1 just to myself try and develop some sort of board, which meant that my Hollow Hunt had to be 2 or 3 turns early and less aggressive than normal. It couldn't be for more Decidueyes and stuff. It actually had to be for energy and things like that. So I was actually very close to losing game 2, but I was able to end him down to 2, and he just wasn't able to get the last energy to start sniping bench Shamans and stuff for games. So I was able to take round 1 against Greninja. But like what it told me is when Greninja sets up, it still can Shrek people. So I'm definitely Greninja is back in my testing books because I kind of steered clear of it for a while. But even in what seems like a free matchup as Decidueye, when he got set up, it was actually a really, really scary board setup to deal with because now they play 4 splash energy. They can always apply pressure. So yeah, it was a scary round against Greninja, but I was able to win through. Round 2 was against Connor Bird, who Joe had been testing with pretty much all last week. The exact Zoro list. I don't know whether he played the exact same list as you, Joe.
Yeah, same 60.
So it was the same 60. Me and Joe had tested the night before, and Joe had kind of given me some tips for the matchup. So I was able to take this to a tie. Unfortunately, game 1 went pretty standard in my favour. Game 2 went pretty standard in his favour. and game 3 we just had the quickest game, but neither of us could finish it out. But I think we started the game with about 5 minutes left of time. We got to the point where we weren't cutting each other's decks. We were just playing so many cards. But yeah, I think we both said after the match we both should have scooped earlier in the games we were losing. So that's again that's the thing I found with Decidueye this weekend. It's so hard to know when to scoop with the deck because the board state can go. The deck has such an insane power level. You don't often want to give up because just having that extra 60 a turn can be enough to push you through a game. So sometimes it is very difficult to know when to actually call it a day. But yeah, so that was a tie. I was 101. Round 3 was against Grandpa. I'm pretty sure this Grandpa game was pretty standard. I won game 1, he won game 2. Game 3, again, we started with very little time on the clock, so knowing it was probably going to be a tie, but I do feel I have the slight edge, especially when even little things like prizing Bridget or not starting Ultra Ball, these tiny little things can actually mean that someone can come out on top. But unfortunately, again, it was just a tie. This was a pretty standard game. Round 4 was against a real weird Evolutions deck that ran Espeon GX, Umbreon GX. I never saw the Sylveon GX, but I saw Fairy Energy, so I can only assume. And then just the type coverage EVs. And this game felt pretty straightforward. I just had to be able to put 60 on all of the Evolutions and then devolve them. And that's pretty much what I went for. His only attacker remaining was Lele, so at that point I was able to identify that the rest of his prizes were going to have to come through him attacking with Lele, and doing that it just meant I could stack up my own Lele in response. So it was a bit of a strange series just because I had to. It wasn't a deck that I'd played against. Yeah, it was Crystal Atlantis Logan. It was a deck that I hadn't tested against at all, not played against at all. So I had to kind of think it up on the fly. But as soon as I started seeing more and more, because he started triple EV, and just went straight for the Psychic Energy. So I thought I was looking at Espeon Garb. But as soon as he started showing more and more evolutions, it started to I started to realise that the Coco devolution route was going to be the easiest way of dealing with.
So he played Flareon, like I guess, right?
Played Flareon, Vaporeon, didn't see Jolteon, but that doesn't surprise me.
Which GX attack did he use against you?
Pretty much, I can't remember. He definitely used Divide once. I can't remember whether he used one in the second game. It might have been... No, it was Divide both games. One game he killed a Rowlet, one game he killed a Dartrix.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it was Divide both times. But so that resulted in a win. Round 5 is the round I can't remember, and this was my loss. I've literally just looked through all of my decks on PTCGO. I thought something would stick out, and nothing does. So I really don't know what it was.
Not Volk, not...
I remember not playing against any Volks all day, any Dark all day, and any Ninetales all day, and any Vikabula all day. So it wasn't any of those, which are other than Grandpa, Decidueye. It wasn't a mirror because I don't think I played any mirrors all day. I played a real weird set of, considering what in our opinion is the top tier at the moment. I played a real weird set of decks. It was just there was no, like I said, there was no Volk, there was no Vikabulu, there was no Ninetales, which may not be considered top tier, but there was a lot of Ninetales in the room.
Well, after we saw the top 8, it looks like it was pretty good choice.
Yeah. But there was naturally well, I think from what I could tell, there was a lot of Ninetales in the room anyway.
There was.
Yeah, no Vikabulu, no Darkrai. Not that there was much Darkrai, but none of these at all. I didn't see them at all, so that was really weird. But yeah, I really can't remember what my 5th round was. I know it was a loss because I remember having to thinking that I'm going to have to win out from round 5 onwards. But if it comes back to me, I will try and amend that. Round 6 was against Metagross, which usually is a really favourable matchup, and I really don't mind the matchup. But unfortunately, they were playing Magearna, which I still feel it is ever so slightly favourable for me. And in game 1, I was able to deal with the Magearna and then just win through pretty much announcing Miraculous Shine with 3 Decidueye on board. That's pretty much how you do that.
How many max potion did they play?
I saw 2.
Okay.
But yeah, don't know for sure whether that was the case. Game 2, I remember having to dig. It was kind of the case of my day 2 in Birmingham again. A lot of the days towards the end of the day, I was just digging for DC and just wasn't finding it. There were a couple of turns where his board setup was like lone Beldum because he had to start Lele, so couldn't bridge it or whatever. So wasn't able to develop more than one Beldum. So I would dig for like a load of I had the ping. I just needed to dig for the load of Ninetales DCE, and I'd always hit the Ninetales. I just never hit the DCE. So there were turns where he was naturally in not a very good position because it was like a stage 2 deck and was naturally a bit more clunky, and still wasn't able to punish that. So that was unfortunate, which meant that game 2 he was able to. I end him down to 2 again, trying to pretty much securing the win for the next turn just through Espeon and Evolution, but he was able to find a Lysander to be able to just carry on plowing through things like Lele and stuff rather than having to hit 210 or 250 on, or 240, sorry, on Decidueye. And then game 3, again, he was able to bridge it. And if an opponent's able to bridge it, it's very unlikely that you're going to be... Decidueye is the kind of deck that can take a cheeky win in that way, just getting a donk, but if they're able to bridge it, it pretty much secures the tie just because there's not enough turns. So that was round 5. Round 6 was Raichu Lycanroc, a deck that I had played against as Decidueye about a few weeks earlier in a League Cup or a League Challenge or something, and I tied it there through Lycanroc being able to just the fact that you don't need Lysander anymore, or you don't have to dig for Lysander because you have Ultra Balls instead. So they even though discarding Lysander early on is it's fine for them because they just have outs for Ultra Ball next turn. So game 1 was completely fine again, because the Raichus only have 90 HP. You can pretty much one bang them whilst killing like a Pikachu on the bench or whatever, or a Rockruff on the bench. So because I was able to develop a decent board setup, I was able to win game 1. Game 2, I remember him digging through so much of his deck, and he's actually able to get a turn 2 knockout on a Alolan Ninetales, or a turn 3 knockout on a Alolan Ninetales. He was, I think I end him to 6 after him discarding a stadium and me bouncing one, and he was still able to get 8 Pokemon plus Choice Band plus Kukui in game 2, and that was just, I was just not able to do anything. I was fully expecting him to swing into the Ninetales, but I didn't expect the one shot. I remember having like Lysander plus a ping ready to be able to like GX a Lycanroc or whatever for the two prizes on the response, and he just ripped the 210 damage. So at that point, I was a bit okay. How do I've just taken a huge loss in like tempo because I'd kind of invested into this Ninetales getting hit, so that was kind of awkward. And because he was able to take the first 2 prizes, it meant I couldn't really punish. Couldn't do much at all really because Decidueye takes 2 energies to set up, so they're able to swing into you once, or swing against a Lele or whatever. Plus having Choice Band in the deck now means that the deck really doesn't struggle to hit one shots on things like Lele, just because they only need set even that one Pokemon difference. He was running it was a 4/4 Raichu. I think it was a 3/2. I think he told me it was a 3/2 Lycanroc. I think it was 2 Oranguru, 2 Shaymin, 2 Lele. So he had a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was again unfortunately a tie. Round 8 was another Metagross, and this one wasn't playing Magearna, so it was not a free win, but it was once I'd got the setup of being able to devolve plus kill a Beldum each turn, it was kind of done from there. So that was a pretty quick 2 games, and then finally
the last round was against Grandpa. Game 1 was she just didn't draw anything. She drew past for about 6 turns. Was running Flare Grunt, so that was the only hiccup for me. But because she drew past for 6 turns, I just naturally went really, really speedy, discarded a lot, but developed a lot, and was able to just pretty much one-shot anything she put down. Just because she was never really able to get the setup, she was never able to find Garbodor or anything like that. This was the most annoying tie of the whole day, so that was game 1. She should have scooped earlier, I feel, because she let it go to 6 prizes. I'm pretty sure she did anyway, or at least 4. So we only had about, I'd say, 30 minutes or so left on the clock by the time we went into game 2. Game 2, she had a better board setup, but told me that she'd found out that Garbotoxin was prized. So I was still feeling okay, and at this point I was still in contention from
why would she tell
top
you
64.
that? Oh my god, why would she tell you that?
So I was like, okay, this is fine. Garbodor's prize. I can just develop Decidueyes and just start out damaging her.
Why would someone tell you that? For God's sake.
But unfortunately, again, it got to the point where I had to dig for DCE, and there were 3 DCE in my bottom 6 cards towards the end of the deck. And I just couldn't finish out the game. So she was able to take game 2, and by then we had 5 minutes a game. It was about 5 minutes left on the clock. I was so close. I literally just had to get this DCE from the deck to win the turn before she did. So it wasn't even like I could see myself losing, so I should have scooped earlier to try and secure a game 3. I was so close to winning that game. With no Garb, with Garb prized and just being an energy away, I was so sure I had it.
Yeah.
So that was really unfortunate. And then game 3 we didn't have enough time to finish, so we just ended up tying, which meant that neither of us actually made even top 128, because we were on the. I think we were actually 1 point below the bubble, so one of us would have made it with a win, but hey ho. It's unfortunate that was the case. But
so what was your record?
3-1-5 at the end of the day. So again, a lot of ties, which is what I found with the Decidueye.
Man.
But all of them, the difference I felt from comparing it to like Greninja and Volk back when I was tying a lot back then was I was winning game 1 a lot. So I just need to improve on scooping in game 2, I think. But yeah, no, I still had fun. It was still an enjoyable day. And it was the biggest regionals we've had, so that was
it was a big
impressive.
Yeah, it was a really good event actually. Literally everyone was there. It's pretty cool.
401 Masters. That's nearly our international last year, so hopefully our international is even bigger this year as well.
Right, and then I played in the League Cup as well. Let me build my League Cup list.
Only one lost between both of you and neither makes cut. Feels bad, man. Yeah.
What a joke.
Our combined record was 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 8, 1, 9. Yeah, 8, 1, 9. Combined record for me and Joe.
That's tragic. What else did I play in this list? I played another one of those.
Would you ever consider Decidueye in a big event again, considering the draw potential? The only reason I wouldn't is because it loses Forest. I still would play Decidueye again. I don't think I'd play this list, or the list that Joe was showing a minute ago, because a friend of mine played against Mehdi Hafi, who was playing Decidueye Ninetales with some pretty crazy techs. And I think I'd go for that kind of build now. It's a super greedy list.
So greedy.
But max potion.
I love him for it, but it is so greedy.
Too greedy for you?
Too greedy for me. Too greedy.
I think the only reason I wouldn't play Decidueye again is just for variation. I'd consider playing something else.
Let me consult the phone.
Did Mehdi play Mime? Yeah, he did indeed play Mime as well.
Mime was the weirdest one.
I'm not a fan of Mime.
Oh,
but
I know what I played.
I am a fan of the max potions. Being able to max potion and hollow hunt like 2 max potion back is just gross.
Where is my cut? Oh, it's there. Okay. Right. So then Jack couldn't be bothered to go play in the League Cup.
Jack went to bed at about 3 o'clock in the morning, that's why. And I'm glad I did, because it was a 9 or an 8 round event. It was an 8 round League Cup with 150 people. That's like bigger than our old regionals.
Yeah, true.
So I'm not bothered about not making it, if I'm honest.
So after getting beadled playing Zoroark, I said, you know what, let's not play Zoroark. For those of you who don't know, Tamao and Luke both played Xerneas the day before and both made top 32. So I said, you know what, let's go back to this old deck. Let's try it out. Main differences being we upped the Bridget count to 2 and the Lele count to 3. Because Bridget is so important for the deck. It's just the best possible thing you can ever go for. Put the 2 enhanced dammers in because we were struggling against a Decidueye without it. And with it, it was a much fairer matchup. And that's really about it. Those are the big changes. We ended up cutting Oricorio, which was the biggest thing I was sad about. I think if I was to play this list again, Oricorio would go back in because I felt he could have been important for me in a couple of my games, but I didn't have the option, which is a shame. But yeah. My League Cup, so again, this is another 8 rounds of action. In round 1, I'm up against Espeon Garb. It's a matchup I'm fairly happy with. He goes for confusion plays and starts setting up Garbodors on the bench. And confusion isn't a problem for this deck, as long as you can find Fairy Garden. And that's where the issue comes in, because I end up Sycamore digging, missing, flipping for live stream, Tails. Take some damage. I can still tank a hit from the Espeon, so it's okay. Tank a hit from the Espeon. Sycamore again. Miss again. Now Garbodor is in complete range. And I still have to flip to try and live stream. And again I flip Tails. So in both those circumstances, even after the first Tails, I can still destroy him. I can still easily win the game just on racing alone. Just on the Espeon dies, then the Lele dies, and it's game over. But no, flips Tails again. He retreats out of the Espeon. He goes into the Garbodor, pummels me, and he just keeps going for the single prize, pummeling with Garbodor, and it was awful. So once again, just like at Internats, I had 2 Fairy Garden in my bottom 6 cards. I believe at Internats it was my bottom 9 cards, in fairness to Internats, but happened again to me. That is such a beetle. Oh, it was so triggering. In game 2 as well. My opening hand is Sycamore 5 items. And it just goes badly for me. Especially when 3 of those items are my 3 max elixirs. And literally throughout the game, I am 20 damage short of KOing Garbodor 3 times in the game. 3 times in the game. I'm 20 damage short. So if any of those elixirs stayed in the deck, it's just such a different game. So yeah, I end up losing round 1, just a beetle jam. I was so annoyed. Round 2, Volk is a win. It's actually up against James B. He destroys me game 1. Game 2, he doesn't have quite the optimal setup. I'm able to slow him down for a couple turns with like hexing and stuff to where I can reach 1-hit KOs. And in game 3, we really don't have much time. But he completely dead draws and I steamroll the first like 3 prizes and he just scoops rather than like trying to stall me out for the last like 7 minutes or however much there was left of time. I believe it was about that amount. So he just like, I could try and stall this out and not lose, but I'll just give you the win. And I was like, yeah, cheers. So win against Volk in fairly fortuitous circumstances. He was playing Saber House's list and Fearabouts are a pain to deal with at times. He was doing the smart thing as well. Just setting up 4 energy on Turtonator, so he could like chain attacks, and that's really important against me. So he played well. It's just he got sacked in game 3. In round 3, I'm up against Gyarados. And you can see that I've taken out Oricorio, so I'm playing nothing for Gyarados. Game 1, I start Lele, attach, pass. He does some shenanigans. He has a Magikarp active. He passes back over to me after getting a Remoraid on the bench and another Magikarp on the bench. Passes over to me. I attach again to Lele, and I choose to pass rather than KO, because I was like, right, you've definitely got teammates. I'm definitely losing the game here if I take my single prize. So I just pass instead. But then he just goes Acrobite crazy. Sycamore's away the teammates, and he gave me a look like, yeah, you played around it, well done. But he still went and got the donk, didn't he? So, yeah, that was fun. Game 2, I'm actually able to run him out of resources, which was cool. E-Hammer is clutch, because he used his puzzles on other things and had some painful Sycamores early. For those of you who have played Gyarados, you need to cycle a lot, but a lot of the time you're reliant on teammates to get your single pieces without you having to discard stuff. Because I was sat there Geomancying, he was never getting the procs of teammates, so he was having to Sycamore away things like Rescue Stretchers, Gyaradoses, single puzzles, and this really helped me out later on because I was able to like E-Hammer plus Lysander things, and then just start announcing pass, and even though he was able to get back into that stuff, he was having to pay retreat on things, which was another DC in the bin, or all that sort of stuff, and it meant that then I was able to start KOing his Gyaradoses in response because my board is full of energy at that point. That he's not able to recover a Carp, a Gyarados, and an energy on a certain turn, and then I'm able to do it again and again and slowly. Like, it was a slow grind, but when I started announcing attacks, the game went super in my favor. So I was able to win that game. Then in game 3, a similar thing happened actually. Just because he wasn't able to teammates, I realized that Gyarados is so teammates focused that he had to just settle for like 90 damage attacks with full retaliation on Xerneas Break, and you're just so happy with that I was able to ramp up. There was a small issue of the fact that I ended up having a Regirock. I EXP shared it from turn 1 because I had Bridget EXP share in hand. I had a Regirock with like 10 energy on it. No, not 10. It was like 5. But also a Rangaroo with like 6 energy on it because that was also EXP shared and had a DCE. But it was so cool that I was able to... No, wait. This is wrong, actually. It wasn't a Regirock with energy. It was a Lele with like 6 energy and a Rangaroo with like 6 energy. So I was actually able to energy drive a Shaman with all my own energies and an EXP share attached. So it was a physical 6 energy attached to Lele to knock out a Shaman to take 2 prizes, which put me at 1 and him at 3. So he had to deal with Lele. I had Oranga on the bench, so I just Lysandered a Carp to Psychic for game.
Nice.
So I clutched a Gyarados. It was such a cool... it was so cool that I won that game, because I was literally... He was so happy when he saw a Xerneas, and I was like, I can win this. I've got stuff to do here. And that's when I was feeling so much better about Xerneas, because after round 1 I was literally like, why did I choose this stupid bloody... And then when I beat Gyarados, I was like, this deck is good.
This is dumb things.
Round 4, I'm up against Lycanroc. This is like straight Lycanroc. And it was Joe Yates as well, the YouTuber. What's his thing called? I've forgotten the name of his channel. I'm so tired today. I really can't remember his YouTube. What is it? He's not done content for like a couple of months. That's why I'm blanking on it. Woopercast. There you go. Yeah. So there we are. So yeah, he was playing Lycanroc, and I knew he had a thing for Lycanroc because on his channel he's put a video of Rockruff Slowking, the stall thing, which is so funny. And so the whole time I'm like winning with the deck, I realized that like I could lose the game at any time if he just Bloodthirsty Eyes is up Regirock and just starts announcing corner. So the whole time I had to win on the board whilst not playing more cards than him, which was like such a cool battle I had to have against myself. It was great. In game 1, it never really came into fruition because he would never have more than one Rockruff in play, and he needs 2 in play so he can evolve up and then attach the other one and start cornering. So I was able to like really take him back in game 1, and obviously I hid hammers till I could do it on the right turns, so he couldn't respond my damage, and ramping up to 200 actually isn't hard, so it was quite easy for me, seeing as though I could peg him back with E-hammers to make sure he couldn't reply. In game 2, he actually does go for, well, first of all, he goes for a Lysander on Regirock, which was just funny. He was like, oh, Lysander Regirock. And I was like, that's your supporter for turn. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm dumb. I'm dumb. But then later in the game, he's able to Bloodthirsty Eyes, Regirock, and go for the corner approach. But I'd been counting decks since like game 1, turn 2. So, like, I was always ahead on cards. So we went for corner. He decided to draw his entire deck and N, and then on his end turn he tried to like retreat out, Bloodthirsty Eye something else up and take a KO. But even after doing all those things and taking out the Pokemon with the most energy, I still had 200 damage on board. So I just said, good game. So I was able to beat Lycanroc. It was cool that he actually went for the Bloodthirsty Eye stall plays, but he never actually got as far as like counting decks and stuff. Grandpa I play in round 5. Fairly easy win. One of the games I win by playing 1 item the entire game. That was just pretty fortuitous, I guess. And in the other game, it's like, again, me throwing hammers his way to stop the Drampers chaining, and I'm able to just deal with enough GXs to win out, so pretty cool. In round 6, I'm up against Decidueye Ninetales, and this is the 4th Decidueye I played this weekend, and again I tie the matchup. Game 1, I get absolutely rodded. He actually puts himself to a 0-card hand, but he has Beacon to fall back on. He announces Beacon, and he goes for Rowlet Dartrix, and I was like, wait, you don't have Lele in deck. So, although he's like doing all these things and getting multiple birds going, I'm not ending him because he's just draw beaconing, basically.
Yeah.
But because I can't really start announcing live stream, I have to keep getting Geomancy going. So he's able to beacon like 3 times, and all that beaconing means by the time he rips a Sycamore, like the 4th turn of beacon, he actually has 4 Decidueyes up. And I'm like, oh man, this is so much damage.
Yeah.
And so just me doing nothing, him doing nothing was really bad because I could never find Lysander, so I actually had to waste like a 200 damage attack on a freaking Vulpix.
Nice.
And I wasn't able to like hex enough to get myself back in the clear. He never procced EXP share because he just had so many snipes and stuff, so yeah, went okay for him. In game 2, it went better for me. I was able to double E-hammer on a single turn, and that pretty much swung the game in my favour to where, again, he just had no respond attacker. And when people can't respond the live stream, it just means that you've had 2 turns of basically 4 prizes. No, sorry, 4 prizes over 2 turns, so it's just really big. So that was a tie. There wasn't time for game 3. It was again down to me trying to scrabble to not lose in the last couple of turns. But I was able to like Lysander something up so he couldn't attack. It was okay. In round 7, I faced Greninja. I go 2nd and I miss Bridget, and he just goes for an attached pass. I can't. Oh no, he has another Froakie on the bench. I can't bridge it, so I have to Sycamore away like 3 ends, trying to just think like maybe he doesn't have it or whatever. And I only get 1 Pokemon to Geomancy onto, and just like I was saying earlier, when I was 20 damage off the Garbodor 3 times in a row, because I could only Geomancy to 1 target, it meant that my live stream was 20 off the Frogadier, and then it was 20 off the Greninja, and then it was 20 off the Greninja Break. So I ended up scooping on a turn where I was like, okay, I need 2 Max Elixirs this turn off the Sycamore. Sycamore, miss both. I'm just like, here we go. Yeah, next game, let's get going. So then game 2, I lead Regirock, and it's my good old pastime of whiffing Fairy Garden. And
Excellent.
once again, I can't move Regirock for 2 turns. I can't get Geomancying. I can't get Attaching Energy. So again, he's able to set up quite nicely. He's actually a viewer of the channel. He was the Greninja guy who beat me playing Decidueye a couple of weeks ago on stream. So he reminded me of that. But yeah, Regirock stuck. I mean, I don't think this deck has the space for a 4th Garden, but it's just one of those things that always seems to just punish me out of anything else. So annoying as well that against Volcanion, I led Regirocks as well a lot of the time, so I could never get my Brooklet Hill value. I was so upset. But yeah, so it went really badly for me, and I just scooped again. I was like, well, you've definitely got everything here. I actually stayed in the game for quite a while, because he only developed 2 Greninja breaks, and he left the other 2 as Frogadiers. So I thought he was actually low on Greninjas, so I was thinking if I can E-Hammer and KO on certain turns, it would... maybe I had a win condition there, because he prized a couple physical Greninjas. But I couldn't take prizes. So there you go. There was the win condition sinking away. He didn't play Starmie, so I tried to stall something, but obviously he played Fisherman, so yeah. That's a loss. So then I'm at, what is it, round 7? 4-2-1? Yeah. So then in round 8, I've come against Volcanion, and this is once again a nice win for me. It was a list that played Choice Bands over Fury Belts, so it was really quite routine. Quite easy for me to win that game as well. So yeah, went 5-2-1, got top 16 of the League Cup.
Nice.
Which is another 12 booster packs. I think my highlight of the weekend was what I opened from booster packs. Got some really good GXs. Got like 2 Drampers, a Lele, a Metagross, a Ninetales, a Coco, and something else I can't remember. But yeah, lots of GXs out of both my days. But yeah, another close but no cigar for me.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Hey Mark, how's it going? Top 16 of a League Cup. I know, but like it's a 150-man League Cup, so it actually like meant something compared to just like, you know, a 30-man League Cup. Anyway, I was playing a meme anyway. Right, that'll do. Should we look at the top 8 decks of Liverpool? I believe there's a thing for it. Let me try and find that. It's Liverpool Regionals top 8 decks. Let's type that in. Oh, Pokemon. Yeah, let's type that in. Can you remember where they put it in?
I think it was actually on the Tournament Centre EU website.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Tournaments.
Mark is well prepared. You wanted to see the start of the stream, Mark. That was a well prepared stream. Ninetales, Ninetales, Ninetales. Yeah, that was pretty much it. There were only 3 different decks.
Wait, where is this? I can see the metagame analysis, but I can't see the top 8 decks.
Actual lists.
Upcoming events, latest news. This is weird. Am I being dumb again, chat? Can you try and find it, Jack? I'm so tired today, literally, I'm so dead. I feel bad for you guys having to watch me. I am so dead. It's one of those things as well that I'm just waiting for Burning Shadows. So I knew today was going to be a bit of a like Beetle sesh all day. And I again didn't prepare. I was busy recording a video, actually. I actually recorded a video, guys. So, let's try and find things. I can get rid of that tab because it's useless. Done.
Okay, that's not where I thought it was. Give me a second.
So I can see the Liverpool metagame analysis we can look at. I think that's still worth doing.
Yeah, take a look at that. I think I can get the decks in a second if you carry on.
Lydia Hombach is a superstar, and she looked at every list that people were playing for the Liverpool regionals, and she typed it all up and got it onto a nice little graph. Lots of other decks. These are just basically undefined archetypes. You always see that in tournaments. Interesting that it was such a high amount because it was the basically end of the season for a lot of players, and it's also like the end of the metagame. So when it's a really defined metagame, that's when people try and take rogues to tournaments. I feel more than anyone else. So
yeah,
it's crazy that we see like so much showing for decks that were undefined or like considered outside of the meta.
Yeah.
Few Vespiquens. Desi Plume, even though it came second at the NAIC, wasn't too popular. Less popular than Darkrai plus Darkrai Dragonair variants, which is interesting. Metagross, little showing. Greninjas, they were around, I know that much. Espeon and Ninetales, that was like seemingly the smart pick.
That's lower than I thought it was.
Well, I mean, all the other things had like defined top tier. It's amazing how many Vikabulus turned up. That's the most surprising thing for me.
There were a lot of Vikabulus, yeah.
I didn't play any, and I was playing frickin' Zoroark, whatever. No big deal. But yeah, a good amount of Ninetales. Quite a handful of Zoroark. Seeing as though this was like the most hyped deck going into the NAIC, a lot less than I expected. I expected a few mirrors.
Yeah.
Not too much. Always going to be a showing for Volk, Garbodor, plus Espeon and Eevees. That was again popular. Much less popular than Drampa, as you could expect after seeing Todd's results. Desi Tails was the much more popular Decidueye variant. If you slap both of these two together, though, this is pretty much alongside Drampa. So Decidueye and Drampa, pretty much the two most popular archetypes combined. And then Vikabulu as well. A crazy showing. I like the deck, but I didn't think it would turn up that much.
I didn't think it'd be second most popular deck.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you think triggered that? What do you think made people all think this is the play? And it's got quite a good Drampa, right? And it's got quite
I feel it is one of the decks that suffers the most to rogues, to be fair. So maybe just because it's a defined, like we're in a defined meta, people felt that the Drampa was good enough, the Volk was good enough, these kind of decks were good enough anyway, that they would just see enough rounds of those because the meta is already defined.
Mm-hmm.
They'd see enough of those to be able to guarantee day 2 with it. The irony of it was, I think only one made day 2.
Yeah. Really low conversion rate for Vikabulu. Really low conversion rate. It was only Paul Stringer who made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me flip back over to get this thing from Skype so we can look at the top 8 decks. Thank you, Jack. You absolute legend.
A little shout out to Beedrill Fanboy who also sent it to us.
Oh, cool.
But I was a little bit before.
Okay.
But still, cheers for helping us out, Beedrill Fanboy.
Right. The top 8 decks. Tord Reklev with a very familiar Grandpa. This is in fact the exact same list that he played for the NAIC, so we don't need to talk about this deck. Pretty much, we've been over it already.
Still good.
Tord's great, deck's great. Okay. Thomas Just was playing Alolan Ninetales. Interesting that he played a 3-3 line of Alolan Ninetales. That's something I don't think we've seen before with the deck. Maybe a 4-3 line, but only playing 3 Vulpix seems really crazy to me. Such a good card. such a great card in the deck.
Yeah.
Just in general. Everything else is streamlined. The Sudowoodo, interesting tech choice from him. I know that the North American list played one, so maybe that was some of his inspiration.
Yeah.
When we look at the supporters, nothing too surprising. The Mallow, again, was played. I'm trying to think where he made his space for the only three Vulpix, because there's nothing that stands out to me as being greedy in terms of spaces. 2 blowers, quite a high count compared to most. I think normally we expect 1 to 2. Choice Band as well is normally a 2 count rather than a 3 count, so maybe this is where he's made a space.
Yeah.
That's all I can really think of. Only the 2 Rough Seas. We'll see Carl Peters' list in a moment that plays a full 4 count, and Carl ended up going further in the tournament, and I think that was, as we were saying earlier, there was a lot of Decidueye, and a lot of Decidueye cut as well, and playing Rough Seas is really important for Decidueye, and having the higher count that Carl did makes me lean towards that one. But this is the first Ninetales. Because there was a lot less Zoroark than maybe I was expecting, the Ninetales were pretty much unchecked, I think. Not a huge amount of Metagross, not a huge amount of Zoroark. And when there's a huge amount of like Espeons, Drampas, and Decidueyes, it's such a good pick. And Volks. It's got a bad Vikabudo as well. Interesting. But yeah, it seemed like one of those decks that had as many good as bad matchups to me. Yeah. But 3 of them made it through.
Dodging and weaving.
We got some scrub over here. What's his name? Matt's Lats.
Matt's Lats. What a name. What kind of name is Matt's Lats?
He's playing pure ugliness. Decidueye Plume. But in all honesty, Mark is one of the best players in Europe, if not the world. And he played a very streamlined, consistent list of Decidueye. No fun here, no techs at all, just lots of Lele's, Shamans, and then the cards you want. And then lots of the good supporters. He played a high Lysander count instead of playing the Olympia that Kettler played. And he just went for streamline, search engine. Very, very similar to Kettler's list. He basically changed the Lugia for a Lele, changed the Olympia for a Lysander.
Yeah.
And that is it, really. I believe that is the only changes he made.
Yeah.
Very nice. 2 consistency changes, I think. Well, one's definitely a consistency change, and a Lysander is more of a power play card. But it's a card that you really sort of need with the deck, I think.
Yeah, you want to be able to have them because you can't really dig once you've set up. Having a third Lysander, I think, is really important. And
I think for Worlds, I mean, do you change any card from his list? Do we look to play maybe an Acerola or a Guzma over the Lysanders? I don't even know if you want to, because it's hard enough to like access these.
I think they're the only cards I'd consider. I don't know whether I'd actually change it. I haven't played enough with Deciplume to know how much they're needed, so I don't feel like I'd make a on the spot judgment. But I think they'd be the only 2 cards I'd consider, really.
And the lower forms of the Plume, I guess. But yeah. Also in top 8 there was Andre Scubal, who was playing Ninetales as well. He too was playing. Oh no, he was playing the 4-3 line. Instead of playing the Sudowoodo, his tech card of choice was the Giratina promo for Greninja. Seemed like a smart call because there wasn't many Rays around, although a couple did make top 32. Again, similar supporter lines, playing the Karen, expecting Vespiquen, I guess. And everything else pretty standard. Again, playing the double blower, so maybe that is a more standard count. Morehouse, yeah, true. Morehouse playing good old Gram Poppers with the Zygarde tech. He did indeed have to face at least one Zoroark. I know that much because he faced Connor.
Said it was useful in the mirror against Tord as well.
Yeah, very useful card in mirror and Zoroark, so pretty cool. very similar to the Limitless TCG list, the Philip and Robin Schultz list that they played in the NAIC. Because you're using rainbows, you can cash in on Zygarde and just hit for weakness, which is pretty cool. And having 190 HP is really good against Drampa because they basically can't respond to you after you KO them, which is amazing.
Provided you've healed that damage off from the rain bob.
But yeah, again, we know Grampa. Nothing too surprising. He is still playing the 4 Lele, the consistency cards, the teammates. He actually did play Hex, which not everyone does. He also played Kukui, which again, not everyone does. So it's kind of like a split between Tords, Sam Chen's, and Philip Schultz's all in one little package, basically.
But it worked.
It worked, and again, he's incredible. He's back playing this season a lot, so he's basically
more from him.
He's basically got his invite. It's whether or not he makes top 22 now. Speaking of top 22 contention, Pedro proving he can play more than just Volcanion. He played Ninetales, and compared to the list that me and you played, Jack, it looks like the Mewtwo tech was in there for Espeon Garb. It was something we've considered doing, but we never really pulled the trigger on it after testing it.
I'm not the biggest fan, personally.
Yeah. And I think the only difference from there is that he plays no VS Seeker for another Trainer's Mail.
He also plays no Bridget.
Yeah, he plays no Bridget, which is surprising because we feel like it was quite important against
there wasn't
like Drampa decks. No,
there
sorry,
wasn't a
Gargoyle
game.
decks.
There wasn't a game this weekend where Bridget was prized, and there wasn't a game this weekend where I didn't turn one Bridget. I don't think.
Yeah.
I love the card in the deck.
Mm-hmm. He did play 3 Floatstone though that he said was very clutch, but at the same time he only played 3 Grass Energy. I definitely wouldn't play 7 Energy. I think missing energy is why the deck loses so often.
Yeah, agree.
That I would play 8 for certain. But 3 Float was something I wanted to work in so often as well. And I know Benji, when he tested Decidueye, he was like, I don't understand. You always want Floatstone. And I know Mark as well, when he tested Ninetales, I think he went without bans and was like, I'm just playing 3 or 4 Floatstones instead. So the high float count is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I personally would still play the choice band because we sort of needed it for Volk. Because otherwise Ninetales is pretty useless. But yeah, Pedro, beast.
Very good.
Then we got the finalist, the 3rd Ninetales that made top cut. Now playing the Streamline Pokemon line, 4-4-2-2-2. These are all I need. Carl very good at simplifying the game and just having consistency in big tournaments. His supporter line is very interesting actually. 2 Sycamore, 4N, 2 Lysander, 2 Kukui as well. Surprising for me. 1 PCL, which again, not played too often. Bridget and Olympia, so choosing a lot of healing cards. It's similar to his Lapras build in a way. He just loves the tankiness of water Pokemon. Because you can cash in on the 4 Rough Seas that he played. So really he's just making the full use of his GX attack every single time. Basically, if you're trying to do the little 2-shot pokage against Ninetales, it's not going to work against Carl. You wasted a turn because there's Rough Seas, there's PCL, and there's Olympia in there also.
Yep.
Pretty crazy. He also played 2 Silent Lab. What?
Yeah, played 6 stadiums.
What? What's the Silent Lab for? What would you think? Other than, well, I guess Volk is the obvious one. Do you think he just tried to get it developed against other stuff?
I think the fact that your main attacker is through the beacon engine, you're probably completely fine with playing it down turn 1. And shutting off your own Lele's because you're going to be tutoring out your energy line anyway, your Pokemon line anyway. So maybe just in general for trying to stop early Lele players as well.
Yeah.
Because you're able to tute like against in a deck like mine, like the Decidueye Ninetales, because you only run 2 Vulpix, you often only get 1 out and it's often KO'd turn 2. Whereas this kind of deck can
get multiple, use Vulpix to get more Vulpix, and then those Vulpix to get Ninetales, Noctillery, and that kind of thing. So you're actually able to tutor a lot better. So it means that Silent Eye probably isn't as harmful for you.
Interesting that he only has Olympia as his only switching card, and he also doesn't play Hex either. So a lot of interesting decisions from Carl. I really like his Pokemon line. Can't argue with that. His supporter line kind of makes sense, but the six stadium feels like that's got to be overkill, hasn't it? I think the lab is the
I think
cute
Ray
card.
is another thing.
I know it's Ray, but it's so... I mean, they play 4, right?
Yeah, true.
Oh, man. Is he playing any Blower? He's not playing Blower either, so his Octilleries do get shut off. That feels really bad. I don't know. I think there are definitely slots, because... I mean, if you look at some of the other top 8 lists, people are playing a 3-3 Ninetales line just to fit stuff in. Just to fit, like, the Floatstones and the Blowers and the... even a Rescue Stretcher, but Carl's just like, no.
Don't need any of them.
Just need stadiums, mate. That's all I need.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an innovative player for sure. I'm just not seeing where 6 stadiums becomes the super relevant thing. But I mean, especially when you have Blower as such a perfect card to contest the Stadium War and other things. I really would have thought he'd play Blower. But hey, what do I know? And he also played 9 Water instead of 8, which was like standard in the other lists. So
yeah,
pretty crazy that he also made the slot for that. He felt it was important enough for that as well. Madman. And then we have the champion, Rick Veral. I hope I'm saying it right. Playing Gram Poppers. Again, very simple Pokemon line. 3 Lele, not 4. Get triggered Tord. He did play 2 tech supporters in his list. Delinquent and Flagrant. Flagrant potentially for Mirror. And also for Decidueye, it's helpful. Delinquent just good at beetling games. Literally just stealing games from people. And almost acts like a Kukui at times because it forces more items into the discard pile, so...
yeah.
Pretty cool option. People have to play around Delinquent. You know, their entire series of 3 games has to be played around so differently because Delinquent's a factor. But everything else from there is the consistency stuff. Nothing surprising. 1 Rod, 1 Stretcher instead of 2 Stretcher straight up, but that's not too crazy. And instead of playing 4 Rainbow, he's playing 2 as well as 2 base. So he has the sort of hybrid build of going, if I need to go aggressive, I can. Not very likely, but I can. And still has the option to Rainbow himself out as well. So what do you think about that?
I personally think I prefer just a pure Rainbow build. But that being said, turn 2 Berserk is really, really strong. But the more and more I saw this weekend, the more valuable Righteous Edge was. So that being said, even so, playing this kind of build probably is still fine. Just Righteous Edging for that extra turn and setting up the damage through an energy attachment instead. Maybe that's good enough nowadays. Just trying to grind out the game rather than take 6 prizes turbo.
But yeah, overall, fairly standard list. It's rare that you see the split of both. Normally people go one or the other. But he has gone for the split and it's worked out for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nice. Liverpool. There you go. There you go, team. Let's have a look at some comments. What have we been missing? Have you noticed that all these stadiums will rotate?
Maybe that's why he did it. Just wanted to get as many as he can.
Okay. What was I going to do now? Oh yeah, we're going to look at Worlds. We can forget everything we've just learnt because it's Worlds time, people. Okay. Back to the display capture. Kapow. Let's get my face in here because we're going to be here for pretty much the rest of the night now, I think.
Yeah, I personally have closed my PTCGO.
That's not the right face cam. There I am. There I bloody am. Can you see all the preparation we did, guys? We prepared this all for you. Look at my preparation here. Don't say I don't try. Don't say I don't bloody try.
I fully thought with what you told me this morning, Joe. I fully thought we'd have more than this.
This is the thing, Jack. If we had a chat box here, it was going to be an interactive discussion. But
now
the interaction's gone because it's just me. But we can. I need to do some rearranging of stuff. I need to be able to see the chat. Okay. So, chat, we are going to figure things out together, and we're going to start rattling off some decks first of all, and then we're going to start like pitting them against each other and whatnot, and seeing how decks adapt. I think that's one of the most important things. So I'm going to start making some columns, and we're going to rattle things off. So let's get the archetype going down here. Let's get the pre-Burning Shadows tier. Yeah, you follow me? So yeah. What tier they're in pre-Burning Shadows? New introductions.
Look at this.
Yeah. Very good. New threats. Yeah. You with me?
You feeling me?
Meta placement. Ooh, interesting.
Oh,
Here we go.
Chase.
Here we go. Post Burning Shadows power level. Oh my god.
Look how happy he is.
You just can't script this stuff.
Look at that grin on his face.
It's literally like I'm coming up with it on the spot.
Oh,
unbelievable. Okay, hopefully you guys can all see this reasonably.
All 82 of you must be loving it. You must be so happy you got to see this live.
Oh, it fits in perfectly. Okay, right. So, first of all, let's start with Grandpapa's. Grandpa.
Archetype, Grandpa.
Tier 1.
Tier 1.
New introductions. Necrozma GX. Hold on. What else have we got? I need to get on Burning Shadows Bulbapedia. Here we go.
Yeah, I need to see a list. I need to see a deck set list actually.
That's all we need, mate. That's all we need. Oh yeah. Potown.
Po.
I mean Acerola, I guess.
People are memeing already. I just logged on and I'm looking at an Excel spreadsheet. I love it. Nice prep. What makes Joe happy at Fairy Garden or this? It's close. Probably this after Fairy Garden beating him out this weekend.
Oh, why does that not fit? That's unbelievable. Okay, we don't need Acerola. Acerola's universal. We know the universal stuff. These are pretty much the only things that we gain, right, for this card in general. This is the point, though, guys. People are going to start. We need you guys to fill the gaps as well. This is the whole point. This is part of the discussion. Okay. So,
I think what you wanted to go with, Joe, is wrap text up at the top.
How do I do that? Oh yeah, nice. Okay. New threats. Guardy GX. That's for certain.
Gardevoir GX is a threat.
Marshadow, probably not an issue. What's that? What else is an issue for this card? Gliscopod I'm going to put in here as well. Because
Gliscopod is a good matchup.
It hits 120. It does it on turn 1. And until they're hitting 210, it gets wiped off a lot of the time. So I think a straight Gliscopod is an issue.
Yeah.
Maybe not Decipod, but straight pod, probably a problem for this card. So 2 of the potential new archetypes are issues for this card. Bear that in mind. So, meta placement. Worse? Question mark.
Guardy having a good matchup is an issue.
how good do you think the Guardian matchup is against it? Even like if they play Necrozma,
I mean, we
Espeon,
played it, right?
Did we?
Yeah, when we went to Luke's.
Oh yeah, we did.
It was disgusting how bad the matchup was.
Okay, hold on.
Once I GX 10 items back in, you were doing nothing again.
Yeah, but at that point I wasn't playing Necrozma, Espeon.
True. Very true. Still think it's worse though.
So, I mean, the thing is, we can't write off this deck. It's so good, it's so simple, so consistent.
Hmm. Nah, I don't know. I just think it's. I think Guardy is a bad matchup still. Post BS.
I had to get it to fit on the screen.
What's the chat saying? Missing Ghost is a good game if you're getting worse. Dark Growth might game. Definitely worse. Interesting. Metagross is a threat. Level 5 Squirtle, hello.
So we're saying worse but still be played?
I think it will still be played, yeah. I don't think it's completely wiped out, but I still think it's got a pretty bad matchup against Guardy, right?
But definitely not the Bediff anymore. Not the top spot.
No. I don't think so.
Okay, fine. Decidueye Ninetales. I'm also just gonna... Oh, why is that gone bold? I literally am so bad. Why is it different text size? Decidueye Plume. Decidueye Other. Okay. So, I think it's fair to say Decitails is also tier 1. Do you agree with me with that? Actually, how many cut? Did any cut?
1, 2, 3. I think 3 maybe?
3 cut in Liverpool? No. Really? Okay.
Well, there were 4 that cut. There were 4 Decidueyes that cut, and there was only, unless you know of any other Decidueye decks, the only one I know of that wasn't Tails was Mark's Plume build.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there were 4 or 5 that cut.
Would you put Deci Plume as tier 1? Because the thing is, it was really underplayed in Liverpool, and still 2 made top 32. I think I would put both Decidueye as tier 1. I think I just put Decidueye in general as tier 1, to be honest.
Yeah, I think...
Oh, Pedro made top 8 as well. True, yeah. And it top 4'd into Nats, right? And then it came second into Nats. I think we can happily put these as tier 1 decks. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do we gain? SSU.
Acerola Guzma. Are you doing Acerola Guzma Super Scoop Up stuff, or
Hold on.
is that just general things?
That's what I meant when I said other. Glisserpod. One of my favourites. Necrozma. I'm going to try and make him work no matter what.
I know. I know.
These are the biggest cards, right?
Yeah. New threats. I can't remember as Decidueye Ninetales. To be fair, the Decidueye Ninetales list, just for testing on the Sunday, wasn't with Necrozma, so it's not an entirely accurate representation. But
yeah,
I think we went about
Were you
I want to say
positive against
I want to
Guardi?
say 5-3 against Guardi.
With just a pretty much straightforward Desi Tails with basically no new tricks.
Just because it was quicker.
Yeah. Okay. So the new threats really is just, I guess, Kiawe boosting Fire Dex. Kiawe and Ho-Oh boosting Fire Dex, I guess.
Ugh.
And also the other stuff has a Sorola scoop up.
Yeah. Kiawe is bad in bulk in my opinion. Yep, I agree.
I agree that in our list we don't play Kiawe.
No.
Or Ho-Oh, actually.
No.
But just more people are trying fire, right? Bloody hell. We are talking about World's Mark, indeed. Potentially Ho-Oh sees players a one-of in Volk just because it doesn't have water weakness. That's like the only thing I can see, because there is Ninja hype. So
It's got a base 180 as well.
I think this is pretty much a non-mover. It pretty much only gains like matchups that are okay against it. It's pretty much how many other decks start playing the Scoop Up Acerola thing, because if other decks can play Scoop Up and Acerola, they undo a lot of your cute math, and that's annoying. Really annoying. But overall, I think this still remains tier 1. How it adapts, more damage removal. So in a similar way, you said you liked Medi's list.
Yeah.
I think instead of playing 3 max potion, you make a space for 4 super scoop up in there potentially. I remember we were testing it, Jack. Scoop up is insane. Like, it's one of my favorite cards. Now that like I was unhappy that it's in the format, but now that I get to play it, I just know how powerful it is. So I'll be someone abusing scoop up for certain.
Yeah.
And it means that you go off a lot more often. In a matchup where you need to go off, you do more often because you can scoop up Shaman.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you've got Shaman Cycle. You've actually got potentially more burst as well, with being able to scoop up whole Decidueye lines for extra. Like, each scoop up, it can technically be a Kukui, which is insane.
Yeah, for sure. So you have the heal aspect, you have the aggressive aspect. So when we were saying Medi has 3 max potions, he's made cuts for that, but scoop up is like, it's kind of like the middle point between a heal, but also can be like a trainer's mail, because it can be like scoop up to draw 3 more cards and hope to cycle more.
Yeah.
So it's like such a, obviously it's a coin flip and stuff, but it's a card that you're always, like, through every turn of the game as Decidueye, you're happy to see this card.
Yeah, like you say, in the early turns it's bouncing cards, it's bouncing Shamans for more cards, it's bouncing Lele's for supporters, and then in certain situations it's going to be bouncing Decidueyes. And in the late game, all you want to do is protect Decidueyes, so you're going to be retreating to the bench with high amounts of damage, and then you can just bounce them back into your hand. You're going to get your energy back, so you're going to be able to attack with what you want. You're going to be able to bench all this stuff back down and get an extra 20 ping. You know, it's all really, it's a really, really useful card.
So yeah, I think it's definitely still a high priority deck. Still absolutely fine. The only thing is that, yeah, so the list itself will adapt slightly. I think you either make spaces for a couple of Acerola, or you make space for 4 Super Scoop Up based on your playstyle. If you would prefer to guarantee it once or twice a turn for big removal turns, to like pick up a Decidueye with all the energy, promote a Lele, attach that DC that you just picked up, put down a Decidueye line straight away. Basically gain a whole turn of damage. It's just so good for the Owl, because it's such a tanky Pokemon. So good. For Plume, do you feel Plume is better or worse? Because for me, I think there's a lot of stage 2s potentially. There's talk of Metagross, there's talk of Guardi, there's talk of Vikabulu. So I think Plume gets stronger.
But it does.
But one of the keys...
There are 2 new universal cards that everyone's going to be running.
Yeah.
That help against Plume.
or help against the stall aspect of Plume.
And one of the things is that you do need to stall a lot with the deck. You really do. And when everyone has outs to Guzma so quickly, even if they're just going into a Lele to attack, like even that is a lot of pressure. When compared to Ninetales list, where you normally get like 3 or 4 Decidueyes out, you're pretty much happy with 2 Decidueye. So
Yeah.
I'd like to hear Mark's opinion on this one actually, because he's played a lot of Deciplume. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask Mark what he thought.
How's it going, Benji? Welcome. But yeah, personally I would think Plume is more dangerous, but the stall is a little bit worse overall. How it adapts, I think maybe Acerola is like the only card I would toy with.
Yeah.
Mark says it's unplayable.
Unplayable, wow. That's...
It adapts into the binder.
Mark emoji.
Okay. Mark has spoken.
Mark emoji too.
Logan, you're thinking whether or not Guzma will go in Deciplume?
Yeah, I do actually quite like a Guzma, I think.
To switch your Plume. I mean, maybe. Maybe.
I mean, you ran...
He ran Acer. He ran.
You're gonna say he ran Olympia anyway, right? So I think the people with the mindsets of running Olympia will be the people that play Guzma over Lysander.
This is the thing. People are saying like, "Oh, you get your Plume out at the right times." That's true, but at the same time, there are turns where you need to Lysander something, and you can't afford to move your attacking Decidueye.
Yeah.
And for me, it's one of those catch-22 situations where if you play a split, like if you play one or the other, there'll be times when you want the other
wrong one. Yeah.
And if you play the split, you'll just get the wrong ones at the wrong times and stuff. So I think if I was to play Deciplume, I'd play one or the other and not both. Even though you're playing like 3 Leles, I think it's likely that you'll hit them at the wrong times. And yes, people are also saying the Volcanion matchup gets inherently worse as well. Just as that... Well, it doesn't get any worse, because I don't think people will play Kiawe, but...
then being able to...
It's more on the radar, right?
Well, then being able to Guzma as well.
Yeah, then being able to Guzma is important. And Acerola even. Because Acerola's not even bad in Volk, because they can pick up Steam Ups, essentially.
Ooh.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Gliscopod. It's basically just a much more aggressive... Like, so if we're tiering Decidueye variants in terms of aggressiveness, Plume cycles heavy, but its damage is low.
It's lock-based.
Ninetales is the sort of setup list of the 3.
The late game, yeah.
And Gliscopod is similar engine to Deciplume, but rather than lock, you're just going heavy damage output.
You're trying to hit 120 turn 1 instead of getting item lock turn 1.
So we're saying Fire Shiz is a problem for this deck.
Yeah.
Anything else that you foresee to be a big issue for the Gliscopod build?
No, because I think it has a very similar engine to Plume, and I think that's. I think the decks are very similar. They just very similar in how they set up. It's just that they one's lock and one's damage based. Yeah.
So I think in terms of meta, the only thing putting me off just playing Gliscopod is just Volk or just Flareons in stage 1s.
Yeah.
So yeah. how it adapts. I mean, this shouldn't even be. I mean, this is a new deck, so we'll just leave that one. What rating? Do you think it's above? Do you think it's the best Desi variant?
I'd need to test it, but on like gut instinct, I still think the Midway, the Ninetales build will probably be the best, just because Beacon is really, really strong.
And you sort of cover your bases a bit against Volk, I guess.
I'd sometimes worry that the Galissapod build would run out of steam, maybe.
Which one do you think will be the most popular build?
Ninetales.
Okay.
Well,
so...
yeah, Ninetales because I think Galissapod will be the least favourable. I think Decidueye Plume could still be popular because I think it's quote unquote an American deck. Like, I think American people, the US like it a lot more than we do over here. So I still could see people repping it. Like Kettler still came second with it, and whilst it's a different format, people could still see the deck as a powerful enough deck. But I think Ninetales should probably be the most popular.
Yeah. What rating do we give it? So, like, I don't know. Hard to rate this one. I think we should only really rate, like, we should talk about the new entrances rather than just giving them a pre and post rating. Someone mentioned it in the chat, so we can just talk about them as, like, newcomer potential. Okay. Next up, what should we talk about next? Volcanion, I guess.
Yeah.
I think this is the last tier 1 deck that we have.
Currently.
Like, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, if we're talking post, then we've missed a big one.
Yeah. So he gains the potential cool options of... Actually, I'm going to put Guzma in here because it's such a high impact card for the deck.
Guzma is insanely good for the deck.
Because you basically just gain spots, which is insane. Like, you're more end-proof now than you were because you're playing, like, 3 Guzma. And you also save yourself playing, like, 2 Float, 2 Switch, 1 Olympia. Now you can play, like, 3 Guzma, 3 Floatstone or something. Or 3 Guzma, 3 Switch, you know? So,
yeah.
Guzma is just so good for Volk. I think that's the biggest standout card of the 4 in here. I think Kiawe and Ho-Oh you probably don't even play.
I don't think Kiawe and Ho-Oh are good enough. I think Guzma is just so perfect for the deck. And the an Acerola tech is cool. Denny B asks why.
Yeah, so the idea is if you're playing a Fury Belt build of Volk, you can tank the hit, Acerola for that turn, move into your next Volk, because you're always power heatering 2 targets, right? So you'll have another guy ready to go. And in picking up your Volk, you're healing yourself. You can put him back down. So actually, before you Acerola, you can also steam up. So you could steam up, Acerola, then you pick up the fire energy that was attached to him. You can put him back down, steam up. So you can get like another crazy KO. So in really specific situations, Acerola is nuts for Volk. I don't know if everyone will play it. But in a couple of spots, it could be really good.
It could, yeah. There could be. I think it could catch people off guard, thinking that there's 8 energy in the discard, and he's set up 2 Volks, so there's no way he's actually able to get any more damage. So yeah, it could definitely be good. I don't think it's ever, like you say, more than a 1 of. And it'd depend. It'd be an early card I would cut if space was an issue, I think. But if there's space,
if it's me, I would just play Guzma as the only new card for Volk. To be honest, Guardy is an issue. Me and Jack have tested the matchup. It ain't fun. it is not fun.
Baby Volk needs to take like 3 prizes.
Yeah.
Without dying.
So it seems to be like good against a lot of things, but just keep your head down against Guardy. Like, he's going to keep the metal stuff at bay, He's gonna be good against Decidueye. Gonna be okay against Drampa. We've seen how it can be okay against it with Sablehouse's list. One of my interesting things is what tool do we play? Do we play Choice Bands to try and one-hit KO Guardies and be more of a one-hit KO deck? Or do we still play Fury Belts? Because one of the things about Fury Belt was because of Zoroark. We'll talk about Zoroark's placement later on, but I assume there'll be less Zoroark around.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the main reasons why we played Fury Belt. It was kind of in there for Grandpa as well, but they played double Field Blower regardless. So I think maybe we go for a Choice Band build to then be able to one-hit KO Guardies to give yourself a chance. So I think if anything, that's the switch I would make. At the same time, Turtle actually has a chance of surviving hits against Guardy. But I don't know. You effectively have such low HP against Guardy anyway. I'm not sure if playing the belt is worth it. Especially because they'll play double blower and they can GX attack back blowers.
Just cash in on the damage early instead.
I think, yeah. Especially like Baby Volk choice banding things actually like forces them to max potion and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not certain on this, but I think I'd be going for choice bands in Volk. Wishful baton. So meta placement, avoid Guardy. This has become a bit of a mess of a column. But avoid Guardy, smash the rest is pretty much the idea. Still high.
Meta placement. Worse, non-mover. Plume more dangerous, but still worse. Take the loss to Volk. Avoid Guardy.
Yeah, pretty
Perfect.
much. Someone mentioned a Crosma in Volk. Anything reasonable?
I think you're better off just sticking to nitro tanking and being quote-unquote consistent.
Someone said Hex potentially in Volk. That's actually not as ridiculous as it sounds. At the same time, if you're hexing, Guardy's fine just attaching one energy and going for a two-shot against you. Especially because you have to move out the active and such.
Yeah.
I don't know. Potentially Hex.
I don't like Hex personally.
I'll put it in here as potentially. Just because this is an open discussion. This is the point of things. Right, let's get Vika Bulu in here. Because that was really, really heavily played. I want to put this at tier 3, to be honest. Its conversion rate was really terrible. And it didn't really get too far in Burning Shadows. It was a deck that sort of popped up but never did too well. It did well in seniors, I believe.
I would have said tier 2.
Really? Generous.
Maybe that is generous, yeah.
New introductions for this card. Are there any? Is there anything that's really good for this card?
Nothing new. I don't like nothing that isn't potentially playing things like Guzzler and stuff. I don't think there's anything that's stand out.
Okay. Oh. New threats. What is really bad for this card in the new set? Nothing really. There's no new ability lockers.
Bulu Rainbow Rare.
Bulu Rainbow Rare. I don't think it gains any threats, and I think that's a point that I'm coming on to, really.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't gain anything, and there's like no new threats, I think its placement gets slightly better.
Yeah.
Because, like, Zoroark is leaving. Ninja potentially upturning in play. Guardy is an okay matchup. Like, it still sort of fears Metagross a little bit. But I think one of the things holding it down was Zoroark for me.
Yeah.
And also having a freebie ninja seems really cool for you. There are no tier 2 decks. I know. I mean, we'll jump to tier 2. Like, this is going to be a bit fragmented. But
Don't worry.
Literally, we're just saying decks as they come to mind. There'll be tier 2 stuff. There'll be tier 2 stuff. Like, Zoroark can be a next discussion.
Yeah.
That's tier 2 for sure. We'll make it look pretty in a bit, guys. Don't worry. This is just us spitballing ideas, having a good old chat.
Down.
Okay. Don't worry, guys. We'll get all these decks written out in a bit. Don't you worry. It's gonna happen.
Cheers, Suez.
Okay. How does Vikabulu adapt? Where's my own Cloudite when I need it? Oh dear. Oricorio Milguy. Okay, we need to get back on topic. Okay.
Shiftry Victini, what's happened? Guys, you're meant to...
In a similar way to Volcanion, I believe that Vikabulu should be going back to choice bands instead of Fury Belts, so that you can choice band Kukui, or you can use Tapu Koko promo and choice band to one-hit Guardies, and also you can do spread stuff against things like Metagross to actually one-bang them. I know that John Roberts' list, I think it was, played a split of bands and belts. I also think that is potentially okay. I don't mind like a 2-2 split. But I wrote my list out today for Worlds Vikabulu, and I only really had space for one, and I feel like the band is the thing that's more important to play, so that we can can threaten Guardy for one hits. And when you're taking all the energy off yourself, it's all on Guardy to commit to respond. So that seems really good for you. The only issue of having no belts is Greninja gets slightly worse again, because you can't horn attack a Frogadier. But again, we're playing the Kukui, so maybe you can get away with it. And Greninja shouldn't be the headache matchup for you, I don't think. So maybe the split is correct, who knows. But I would definitely see Choice Band sneaking back in, at least as a 2 count. So post Burning Shadows rating, I think it's going to be better. This isn't really a rating. These are terrible things. Okay. Post Burning Shadows. Thoughts. Man, we're terrible. But like once we've got this all together, then we'll start. This is like the rough outline, and then we'll start properly. Getting down to the nitty gritty. Right. So, Zoroark, does it gain any card from this set? Does it gain absolutely anything?
Don't think so.
I can't think of anything that's good. No, it gains literally nothing. New threats, just a cheeky little Guardy. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Where's Xerneas Break? Don't worry, that'll be made. That's one to mention. Potown, you think? Yeah, I guess we said the same for Drampa, so we can put it in here. Good point, good point. Maybe that's how you lower Guardy into range. Who knows? Marshadow? I don't think Marshadow would do things. Guzma, cool with Zoroark. I mean, Guzma's the same as Lysander in exactly Zoroark, because you'll never be punished for Guzmaring. So you probably play Guzma, but I don't think it's it's not really impactful.
No.
Maybe it means that you don't have to play Float Stones now. That would be kind of cool, I guess, but I think you kind of do still need Float Stones because you want to move exactly in the early turns. That's when Float Stone's most important. So you can actually like Big Wheel or Righteous Edge on turn 1. So yeah, meta placement. I mean, we've said that Vikabulu and Volk will be around to an extent, but there's also Ninja, Guardy, Metagross, all swarming around.
Yeah.
And even Gliscopod's hard, because there's nothing good that you can copy for Gliscopod. So you can't actually one-bang them. So even Gliscopod is an issue. So, especially, like, Guardy's the big one here. But I would say that this is a problem for Zoroark. How it adapts, I'm not too certain, because it's so many things. These are 4 decks that it has to worry about. Decidueye is not even great in the first place. There's more decks that we'll be mentioning, like Turbo Dark's hard and stuff. So there's a lot of issues for Zoroark. Personally, I don't think it will adapt. I think it will actually hide under a rock. So I think unplayable ?
Mm.
In the bin. In the nin. In the bin. There we go. Okay.
Greninja.
Ooh. Hold on. What's happened to Skype? Jack? Oh god, what's happened? Oh, you're back. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Pre-Burning Shadows, I'm willing to say this is tier 2 to 3.
I would say 3.
New introductions. I don't think there's anything it gains, right?
Guzma's a biggie for it, because you can get a 3rd Shuriken off in a turn.
Oh, that's so unlikely though.
Yes, you need to have already... Like, you've already won the game if you can cash in from Guzma. But I think we should just mention it. I think that's the only new intro from it.
Yeah.
New threats, Gliscopod. What else? What else we got? Meta placement. This is the weirdest one for me. This is the hardest one to place for Greninja. Because there's theory
some
1.
very good matchups.
There's theory 1. Everyone plays Volk, Guardy, Metagross. In which case it's nuts. Right. And then there's theory 2. Vikabulu, Gliscopod, Decidueye all hang around.
All very bad matchups. All result in wishing you'd played a different deck.
So, I think doesn't need to adapt, basically unchanged. And really it's just, can you predict the meta? Who knows? That's basically where I'm at with Greninja. You've always got to struggle with yourself with Greninja, because there'll be those rounds that no matter what you're playing against, you will lose because you can't do anything. But I think the big thing is for me, Greninja, where's its meta standing? I feel like there's someone who could go EXO with Greninja, and there's someone who could not win a game with Greninja, and they could play this exact same list.
Yeah.
If you're literally just like, either you don't give a shite and you just want to play Greninja because it's your favourite deck, or if you think you know the meta to the T and you know exactly what 50% of people will be playing, and it's the right time for Greninja, make the call.
And you can draw kind of well.
And you can draw kind of well. Go for it. Otherwise, I would... Well, obviously I would never touch Greninja. I ain't going near that. I'm not doing that to myself. But there are some hardcore Greninja fans out there. So I'm certain it'll see play to an extent.
Mm.
It is indeed a very risky day 1 play. Just, yeah. Risk is the name of the game for Greninja.
Definitely.
Alright, let's talk about Metagross. This is also a tier 3er, I would say. This game's Guzma, which is cool. Helps you out against like hexes and stuff. What else are we looking at here? Nothing too much it gains. Oh man, it's really not a hugely impactful set. Oh, it gains Necrozma, my bad. So, how do you do the thing where you keep this always showing? I can't remember.
If you, I think it's view, freeze panes.
Oh, he's done so well. Oh, he's done brilliantly. Oh, wait, hold on. For some reason, it's done a bunch. Okay, hold on. There we go. Very good. Very good. Okay. How come I've lost all my text? What the... Okay. New threats. Not much. Meta placement. Guardy Smasher.
Guardy Smasher.
So what you're saying is Greninja is basically Gyarados. We can talk about Gyarados as well in a moment. I actually think Gyarados is probably better placed than Greninja. I think I'd sooner play Gyarados than Greninja for day 1 of Worlds.
Whoa.
How does Metagross change? I mean, if you want to not auto-lose Volk, we could go for a heavy Necrozma list. We could go for like 3 Necrozma, 6/6 split of energy. So when you're up against Volk, you have a chance, and at the same time you beat Guardy. I think that's the most realistic way to play the deck, even though I think the deck itself is a lot uglier than we've seen it previously. Because one of the main strengths of Metagross was that you're just a big old tanky mofo. But you can't go into a tournament losing to Volk. You just can't go into a tournament losing to Volk, I don't think.
I think...
Isn't Necrozma and Metagross strictly better than Vikabulu? Well, you need more setup than Vikabulu. And also Metagross loses Greninja, whereas Vikabulu wins Greninja. So I wouldn't say it's strictly better, no. But the big upside is that... why do you need more setup? Because you need more Metagross to be in play. You can play Vikabulu with 1 Vikavolt in play.
Yeah.
Whereas Necrozma Metagross needs at least 2. Mostly 3, because you actually play a low physical amount of psychic energy. Unless we go for like 3 or 4 metals and only try and...
go for actual Necrozma plays.
Yeah. Maybe it becomes Necrozma Metagross rather than Metagross Necrozma, if that makes sense.
To be fair, that's what Mark said. He said Necrozma Metagross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a drink, actually. Bet you taking a drink. I'm going to go and grab a drink real quick whilst you finish off Metagross.
I've put it as tier 2 Metagross now. It's jumped a tier. Jumped a tier for sure. I think Necrozma Psychic is the most realistic way I could think of playing it. Okay. Right, what else are we looking at? Espeon Garb. regular support because they have flare around. Okay. Right. Talk about pure Ninetales. Yeah, we can put Ninetales down there. Don't worry, we're going over a bunch. We're talking till 12, so we'll cover all bases hopefully. So yeah, Espeon gets way worse. Yeah, don't worry. We'll get it all down there. We'll there's no need to start shouting stuff out. Basically, when I finish a line, I'll ask you guys what we want to do next. Basically, if I'm out of ideas, but I've got a bunch written down next to me anyway, so I actually did prepare for this somewhat by writing down decks in the format. Ta-da. Meta placement for Espeon Garb. I've heard mixed reactions about Espeon Garb. Some people instantly say it's dead because Confusion devalues so much because of Acerola and Guzma. And also people say it's got a really bad Guardy. I don't know that its Guardy is unwinnable. I don't know that for a fact.
Hello?
Hello. We're talking about Espeon Garb.
Okay.
I've just been saying that Confusion is devalued a lot.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, I actually think the deck is still playable.
Mm-hmm.
I think its Volk is fine. It's one of the decks that plays Garbodor, basically. And both Garbodors are so important right now. I think, especially Ability Lock Garb, is going to be important for Worlds.
Yeah.
I still personally think Espeon Garb has a place in the meta. I think Confusion is a real beetle for Guardy, because Guardy is one of the decks that, yes, it can play Guzma, but at the same time, Espeon will only be committing one energy to itself. So it's hard for it to like get everything going, especially under Ability Lock a lot of the time. Espeon can Ability Lock. It could even, even Espeon could be playing Necrozma, Espeon EX combo. Because you've got Divide GX, so it combos with Necrozma against...
No, it doesn't. What? How?
Oh, wait. Okay, slow down, Joe. Slow down. Let's not finish my train of thought. Okay. Right. But you can still play the Devolve combo. Okay.
Very good.
GX attack combos with the GX attack. Yeah. So, really what I need to figure out is, how bad does this lose to Guardy? Because it feels like there's arguments on both sides for why it can do well in the matchup. An Espeon can get a turn 2 Garbotoxin and just can be beetling away with Confusion, and it can GX attack the early things on the bench, like the Ralts or the Curlier that they're trying to set up. You don't care about what's active.
Yeah.
I think basically Espeon will definitely steal the early game, for sure. And either it steals it to the extent that it wins, or Guardy pulls out of that, finds its field blowers, starts getting set up, potentially has to flip some coins, and potentially it just overpowers the Espeon, because Espeon's damage output, obviously it's better when there's decks committing more energy to themselves, but Guardy doesn't have to be the one committing energy. It could be the weird Mexican standoff that Espeon's just continually confusing, and Guardy's continually not putting energy on itself to not be in danger.
Yeah.
Or it's just committing energy to the benched one. So it's a weird one. I think Espeon can stand up to it the more I convince myself. Doing 60 a turn for one energy commitment on the Espeon side means that Guardy has to commit, and as soon as they commit, you'll have the backup of other Espeon. Interesting. So I think Espeon's been written off by a lot of things, by a lot of people, but yeah. I will keep it tier 2 because I still believe in Flareon being a beast. I still believe this has a good Volk. I believe it's got a good Vikabulu. I believe it's got an okay Greninja even.
Mm.
And Zoroark's gone away. And Zoroark was also a bad matchup for this deck. So... Charlie, he's caught me out. He's caught me out. I do love Espeon. I do understand that Confusion is a lot less valuable. I know that for a fact. But against Guardy, it's still very powerful, I believe. Fairy
Yeah.
Garden does make it worse. But... yeah. Benji, you think it hasn't got a good ninja? That's fair. It's just that I've seen it on stream and I saw... who was it talking about it? I can't remember. There was a player who beat a Greninja on stream and then said that he beat 4 on the day. It was day 2 at the NAIC. I can't remember who it was. But I can imagine it being not great. 2-2 Garbatoxin. Potentially you can go for 2-2 Garbatoxin. I believe Garbatoxin is potentially the key to day 1 Worlds. Potentially the key. We'll throw that in there. Throw that in there. I like it. I like the discussion we're getting going on here. Chat smart.
That's why you're here, chat.
I think Mark went like 5-5 against Greninja. Okay. Fair enough. The feels when you love Espeon but you can't play X, it's too close to tier 1. Wrecked. Absolutely wrecked me. Okay. Ninetales we'll put in tier 2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
New intros for this card. What do we get?
Baby Ninetales.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby Ninetales.
Okay, I'll just put Ninetales Safeguard.
Mm-hmm.
New threats for Ninetales.
Metagross gets better.
More metal? Question mark? Okay. So yeah, he sort of gets caught in the... or whatever. It gets caught in the crossfire of sharing the same weakness as Guardy, which is a problem. But there's this sort of thing where... I don't know, I have this thing where I really want to play Ninetales as like a Pyro deck. Where I don't play any GX. And I just play 4 Beacon, 4 Alolan non-GX and just beetle out the scrubs who don't have answers to the card.
I still personally think you need the GX for the matchups where they do have answers, because the GX is still so insane.
Maybe like a 3-1 split?
I think a 3-2 split is fine.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
I think if I had to pick a deck now, though, I think Ninetales would possibly, if I wasn't going completely top tier, saying Guardy, and wanted to, because me and Joe both don't like playing the Bediff. If I wasn't just picking the best deck in format, I think Ninetales would be my pick for Worlds.
Interesting. So, when you say that, do you mean a heavy non-GX, or do you mean like a standard with maybe 1 safeguard in there?
I think I'd go right down the middle. I think I'd go for like a 3-2 line favoured towards the GX.
Okay.
I think there'll be times where you need to safeguard just to win out the game through them having no answers. I don't think 1 is enough, but I think there's still a lot of value in the GX. Like the GX will still be a very good card in the matchups where you're against other GXs. It's just going to give you perhaps more time to set them up behind safeguard.
True.
Shush, Jack. We all know you would play Desi Tails. I mean, it's got 9 tails in it.
Do you think it's got a good Guardy? I personally think that's an issue.
This is what I was trying to work out on the train on my way home in my head. I can't.
Because if you go the safeguard route, they Gallade. Then you go Gallade with a GX. Then they've taken 3 prizes. You've probably got a Lele on the board. So then, from then on, the safeguard isn't ever a route for you, I don't think.
Because you've got a Lele on the board.
Because there's too much on the board. So, going the GX route, we can go early Coco snipes, or early Coco plus snipes for early prizes, but I think eventually they just one-shot stuff, right?
I think you need, I think you need to get one good spread of Coco, plus then be on the ball with Choice Band plus Kukui to kill Guardi's turn after turn. So I don't think
Choice Band Kukui doesn't kill them.
It does if you've got a Coco swing.
Yeah, Coco swing.
So I don't know. It's one I need to test out. I do think it needs to go in favor of the Ninetales. I like the Ninetales player has to draw better and hit more things. But to be fair, Ninetales does discard 2 energy with its attack.
True.
So leaving 2 energy on is only 60 damage. So that's still only 5 or 4 energy. That's still quite a lot. That's still quite doable for Guardi. Maybe it is too difficult for Ninetales to overcome Guardi.
I'm theoretically dropping it a tier.
Oh, why?
Because I'm thinking Vikabulu, Metagross, and Guardi doesn't feel like it's a nice matchup for you.
Safe enough matchup.
And Ninja doesn't feel safe either. I feel like it was under a safe blanket at Liverpool, to an extent. There wasn't much Zoroark. Vikabulu was around, but it looks like people weren't doing well with it. So I think it was sort of navigating. I don't know, it feels like a deck that you could easily just go even with. I feel like you just sort of go out with a whimper if you play Ninetales a lot of the time.
Maybe I'm just on the high of this weekend of it doing well.
Yeah.
But all I was thinking about on the way home, like deck-wise, was Ninetales. And different ways of being able to take it to Worlds. Mark and Jess chatting about how I did bad this weekend. Stop this. Stop this.
Jess is loving it. It's a favourite pastime. Right, Darkrai's tier 3 currently, right? Maybe even not that.
Yeah. There was what? Were there any in top 32? Was there one in top 32?
I don't even know. So we gain the GX, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only card we gain, but it's a big gain. It is admittedly a big gain.
Primagrab and Wishful Baton thoughts.
So me and Jack have done a list of Darkrai with the GX. We've gone back to an actual speedy list.
It's actually Turbo Darkrai again.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think about it? Is it
after testing it a bit more, it feels, even with the 3GX, it feels sometimes it just doesn't have good enough turn ones. Like the turn ones that work are insanely good, and getting 5 energy on in 1 or 2 turns is nuts. But it also, surprisingly to me, it also does still clunk itself out, and in games I have still been Oblivion Winging turn 1 and 2 like old Darkrai. It hasn't been as simple as, oh, just jam a load of energy on the board because you can discard it all now. In our testing games, Joe, you saw that actually a lot of the time it actually wasn't as easy to get the Darkrai GX combo off as it may seem. Because you have to discard energy and the Darkrai GXs, and then still have like space on the bench and things like that. So it's not as simple as it may seem, I don't think.
No. I think it just becomes a more glamorous tier 3 deck. I don't think it actually beats any more decks now that it plays the GX.
It's just more turbo.
It's just, instead of hitting, you know, a Decidueye for 90, you hit them for 130.
Yeah.
And it
So you're
sort of
still
feels
too
like the
shy,
matchup isn't different a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It'll take a while. It's still going to take a while for you to hit a Metagross or a Guardy. They effectively have the same HP because of resist. So I think
I think when I profiled it, I was a bit more enthused about the archetype, but after playing it a bit more, it seems that even against things like Guardy, which is a stage 2 deck, it still doesn't ramp fast enough.
Mm-hmm. Quick note about Expanded, I believe it's the Bediffin Expanded with the GX now.
Oh, all weekend, Joe was talking about Bilbao and how how Turbo Dark is insane and Expanded. The first conversation that was had was Jack, Turbo Dark, and Expanded. It's insane.
Just for you, chat. Just for you. Don't spread this, all right? Wait for the Joe video. I've made a list. It's good though.
It's really good.
Oh, also Waterboxing Expanded is insane. I agree, Budocast. That is actually really good as well. Shh! Don't tell them. Because yeah, like
no more grass types.
Yeah, grass gets a lot worse, and basically the way you play Aquabox in Standard, it's the same, but to get your combo, you need 1 less energy on the board, because you can rush in. So you don't need to manually attach to your active and find an E-switch. You just Brooklyn Hill out a Keldeo, and then you just start attaching everything to that, and then just rush in. Oh, man.
That's gross.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you need like 1 Aqua Patch hit, 1 Max Elixir hit, and 1 energy per turn.
Yeah, and you've got Compressor, and you've got Comp Search /
That's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah.
But
don't tell him. Don't tell him. Shush. I'm starting to look at Expanded again, and I'm so hype about it. It's awesome. Is my Expanded Darklist Garb proof? I mean, Garb's on turn 2. I've done everything turn 1. So yes.
Love the Turbo Dark comment section.
Garb and Volk.
I've got a snowball coming.
Yeah, Volk gets a lot worse with new with Keldeo and Aqua Patch and stuff. Just saving it for the one expanded regional. Shh. Yeah.
Mark, are you going to Bilbao? I assume not with the expanded puke.
Right, we should actually talk about Gardevoir.
We've the elephant in the room. We're on deck 12 or something.
Meta placement. This is the interesting one for Gardy. Will people counter him? Her? This is the question. Question I'm raising. I'm asking the question here.
Will Guardy be countered? So, how do you counter Guardy? I think the two obvious things are play Metagross or play Espeon and Ninetales.
Like the combo in
the package.
Certain, yeah.
The package, in case Luke is watching.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know how to counter Guardy.
There's also the This is a cool card that I was looking at earlier today. Let me find it. There's also this card, which I want to remind everyone of. This card is an interesting card. This could end up being the Secret Worlds Tech card, everyone.
Oh my god.
There's a few decks playing Rainbow Energy right now. And Prismatic Brave, when they've got a Artillery, a Lele, a Guardi, and a Gallade in play.
That's 4 types. That's 80.
Yeah.
With a band, that's 220.
Yeah, you're still short. But...
That's not 230, Joe.
But, you know, 1 energy, almost KOing a GX. Pretty cool tech card, I'd say.
But, yeah.
Maybe this is the tech card that like an Espeon or a Drampa plays. What do we think? What do we think, team? Am I just beetling you right now? What do we think? Not good enough?
But with Kukui, that's true. Kukui gets the knockout.
Kukui, Delmise.
Whoa, that's a commitment.
Playing Delmise.
Playing a Delmise as well.
It's a Beedle.
This is starting to sound like Ross with these benched Kukui and band.
Okay, I just thought, you know, worth mentioning. Anyway, we'll get back to it. Just remember that card when you see it in the winning worlds list. Just remember that. So if you get the perfect 7-card combo
from the lunchbox.
From lunchbox to worlds.
Exactly.
What a story.
I can see the Ross video already. From lunchbox to worlds, how again a promo was the best card ever.
Worth a thought. That's all I'm saying, guys. All I'm saying, it's worth a thought. So, right, Jack, you're saying Necrozma Espeon package. So are we saying, fucking Mr. Mime it up, mate? And also, in the Japanese list, it also played a Giratina promo to not lose to Greninja.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was playing Day 1 Worlds with Guardi, I think I'd definitely play Giratina promo. Because you'll have 6 rounds. If you face 2 Metagross, it's okay. But at least you still beat Greninja, and you probably do well against the rest. If you play Mime, you're a lot less worried about like Coco and Necrozma GX. I don't even know if Necrozma GX is going to be a factor, to be honest. I think I'm overselling the package, just because I want the package to work, and I like the word package.
Mm-hmm. At Luke Kirkham.
At Luke Kirkham. At thekirks.com.
What? You're tired, aren't you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you reckon you'd play Mime? Would anyone here play Mime in Guardi? What do we think? Are we actually expecting that much Necrozma package?
I don't think I'd play Mime.
Joe likes the package confirmed. Deadly B reckons he'll play Mime.
I don't think I'd play Mime because I think the Necrozma package is one, I don't think it's going to be everywhere. 2, I think you're going to be able to see it coming. And 3, you're running Max Potion anyway, so it's a 2-turn combo. So you do have a turn to, like, even if you have. So think about if your board setup is what Guardi active, Guardi bench, Gallade, Lele, Octillery, and then 1 bench slot. So they're GXing. They're doing 100 to your active, 100 to your bench, and 100 to your Lele. I think the 100 on the Lele is relatively
negligible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's uninfluential. So I think as long as you max potion one of the two Guardies, I think you're fine because it's a 2-turn combo to take 2 prizes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
and
fair.
at that point, you can find another route. So you can
and you
GX back in
yeah.
rare candies and Guardies.
And it's 3 energy on Necrozma as well, so you always carry that. You're like, oh, die then.
So, yeah. So actually,
maybe
I've just talked myself out of the package.
Unbelievable.
That being said, there are going to be turns where you miss Hex. You miss Max Potion. I think I think it essentially comes down to that. If you hit Max Potion and if one Guardie survives, you're fine. But if they take out all the Guardies, then it's over. So it just depends. You just probably have to dig for the Max Potion.
Definitely tier 1 though, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. The deck is insanely powerful when set up.
So instead of Mime, we'll say Sudowoodo in here because Benji's made a good point about the deck I was going to type in next, Mega Ray. I think we put this as tier 3 for now.
Mega Ray?
Yeah. I don't think it's as high as tier 2. It's only a couple of dedicated Ray players who have been doing well with it, to be honest.
Yeah, Janus and Jack.
And even then, it's not been top 8ing or anything, so... Sophocles? Darkrai GX is good for Ray.
Yeah, I saw you and me chatting about that earlier on.
It was quite funny, actually. It was because someone told me not to mention Darkrai that I didn't mention it, and then Maze just mentioned Darkrai. It was funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, Beetle. Get your energy in the bin for Mega Turbo. Yeah, but Sophocles drawing 4 cards is really bad. I think there's enough discard mechanics in Ray. If you really want to have more discard mechanics, you can just play Volk Fire Energies. But I don't think we really want to do that.
Do you think Darkrai GX is the build?
No, I think Magina is too important.
Yeah, I agree. I think Magina is very good right now. Stops confusion, stops devolution, stops all these random effects, stops energy discard.
Yeah. Stops a lot. New threats for Ray. There's nothing that you're scared of from the new set. Everything you can one bang. And you're not really scared of much.
As long as people aren't taking Sudowoodo, you're fine.
I guess the return of maybe Tapu Koko because of Evasive Roller Scoop Up Pipe, but I really think Tapu Koko isn't good as the GX I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Necrozma.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
The thing is, it has to be Necrozma in exactly... Well, it has to be Necrozma plus something that plays Koko, right? So, I guess Grampagab does play both those cards. But yeah. Magina also one-hit kills Guardi. Yeah, but you don't want to commit 2 turns of actually attaching to a Magina when you can just DC Turbo KO. But it does mean if they're playing Sudowoodo, you can still KO them. So again, maybe Sudowoodo's not the right tech. This is the thing. Choose your text wisely, guys. I've literally written it there. Choose your text wisely, and the only one remaining is Tina Promo, so there you go.
Tina Promo ain't doing anything against.
It's not doing much against Ray.
Ray.
I'll admit that. So just play a straight build of Guardi. Forget it.
Forget the text.
Meta placement. Strong. I'm right. I'm doing it. I'm going out on a limb. I'm saying Ray is in a good spot for Worlds. Bloody good spot. Do you not think?
I just don't like Ray.
Fabulous.
I clunk out with it too often. I think it seems to have good matchups. It seems to have... Yeah, it seems to have favourables. Yeah, no, it probably is. Probably is good.
Ray beats Gun if it plays Gumshoes. I think it wins without Gumshoes. This is where we have to decide on a tier for it. And similar to Metagross, I believe we'll put it at tier 2 now. It's definitely improved.
Yeah, definitely.
Similar to Guardian, that you have to choose your text wisely. I like playing Sudowoodo myself in Ray, so people don't have the bench space to play Sudowoodo against you, which is quite fun. And you also win mirrors. Mr. Mime, it depends on how much you expect Necrozma. Plus, if it's Necrozma in Grandpa, they're going to play Ability Lock anyway. So maybe maybe I'm getting too Necrozma happy, and I'm trying to counter something that isn't even there. So who knows? Maybe it's a dead card. Ray is exceedingly tight as well as a list, so I think you have to pick like one of these cards. Oranguru is always a good one. I really like that in Ray. Not enough people play Guru in Ray.
I still think I'd play Sudowoodo.
Yeah?
I think Sudowoodo would be my pick.
Maybe you can't fit both. I'm just spitballing. I'm just saying, you know, you don't have space for all 4 of these cards, but you kind of like all 4 of these cards in certain spots.
Yeah. I'd like to think against Greninja, even though they can eventually get to the point where they can take out Shamans really quickly, I'd like to think you wouldn't have to commit too much in the early turns.
It's basically
to leave them on the board.
It's just if they play Stardust, it's a really hard matchup for Ray. But again, you're playing Magina actually, so it's probably not even a bad matchup. If you can Hex for like 2 turns, you've won the game, right? As Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you don't need Tina promo. Okay, we can take that one out. See, we're covering... This is a good discussion. That's what it's all about. Figuring out the play for Worlds, guys. Come on. Doing it all in one night. Easy. Easy game. Okay. Right, we're 18 decks in. There's still plenty more. I'm going to bash out a few that I just want to make sure we talk about.
Yeah.
Vespiquen, Aquabox, Gyarados.
People are suggesting Groudon and Typhlosion.
Gliscopod Eevees. Marshadow. Plumbebox. What else have we got from the new set? That's the main thing. What else are we missing, guys? Persimmon, you want to talk about? Sure. Why
Coco,
not?
someone said.
Coco, I guess we did mention it earlier on, so we can mention it. Volk, we've talked about Volk.
Talked about Volk. Xerneas.
Oh, Xerneas break. That old chestnut. Please call it Shadowbox. Yeah, we actually had it as Shadowbox, to be honest. But I actually want to know people who... If people just come in, they don't know what we're on about when we just say Shadowbox. Shaolin Shadowboxing.
Chestnut break. Somehow, I don't think Chestnut break will be. We'll see too much play.
Rainbow Force. Sure, we can slap that in there. I mean, I don't want to talk about it for long, but sure. Potown Gengar. Have we done a video on Marshall yet? Jack is yet to do it. He's waiting on getting a new microphone.
Meant to arrive tomorrow, so hopefully tomorrow/Friday I can record it.
Oh, there's actually one I forgot to talk about. The one that I mentioned today.
Or a courier mill. Oh.
Noivern GX, boys. Okay, right. Let's go back to this. Vesp, I'm putting a generous tier 2. No, way too generous. We'll call it tier 3. That is bloody generous. Raticate is a potential new card for the deck. What else are we looking at? What else are we looking at? That's literally like the only new card.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other cards, are there?
Shocker. New threats. Nothing. I don't think there's anything new that scares it. But okay. It is one of the only beatdown decks around. And I started typing in no one cares about Vespiquen anymore. And that's what's pretty important here. No one, like, it's the 19th deck we've talked about today, guys. It is not on anyone's radar. And it's won tournaments. Because people aren't playing Oricorio, people aren't playing Karen.
Yeah.
And people are focused on other things. And you can come in here and be a non-EX beatdown deck that just throws it all into the discard pile and just kills the big old things easily. You know, you can just be a good old KO machine.
Non-EX deck that
you can tech for the deck you want to tech against. You can play Bishop. You can play Evolutions.
play all sorts.
Play whatever you want. You have the space to play whatevs, you know. Vespiquen Night March. This is standard, so we can't play Vespi March, I'm afraid. But yeah, just feels like it jumps to tier 2 in my eyes just because no one will care about this card. People won't test against it. People don't have the time. You can play Ninetales, right, Joe? Yeah, I thought about Ninetales in Vesp, for sure. You can play the new Ninetales with it as well. Non-GX Ninetales. Broken. Anyway. Skype in 2017. What's going on here? So yeah. I think Vespa's good. Maybe not tier 2. It's just like strong rogue. Like, it really is. Oh, I don't know where to...
It's such a high vector place.
You can't call it tier 3. But it's just like we can't call it tier 2. It's just
Got to be tier 1 then.
It's just a balls deep deck, you know what I mean? It's just a deck that will take you far if you choose to play it, I think. I mean, there's the threat of Decidueye. There's the threat of Ability Lock beetling you out. But if that's the only thing you're scared of, really. Volk is kind of hard. Yeah, maybe it is where it is for a reason. It's just that after it won tournaments, we saw Oricorios in a bunch of decks because people were saying Vespiquen was like unplayable, you know?
Yeah.
So I think people will People will do well with it. Tier mark. It's not in the mark emoji tier, that's Decidueye Plume. Who knows?
Oh, tier 3 feels too harsh, but tier 2 feels too generous.
We'll tier question mark it. It looks like a 2, but it's a question mark. Okay. Aquabox, definite tier 3. No surprises there. Tapu Fini GX is a big one. Guzma Acerola are big old problemos for Lapras's GX attack. But you do gain Tapu Fini's GX attack, which is really good, I think. Especially with stage 2's knocking about. You can just pop that back where it belongs for a single energy, whilst you're patching away and setting up other threats. And even late game, I feel like that's where Tapu Fini is going to shine. I feel like your opponent has game on board. You end them to 2. You get rid of their attacker. They're in they're in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? Because when it's at that point in the game, they probably only have one attacker ready to go, unless they're already beating you no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think the end to 2, the Tapu Fini 1 energy, and then you can move back into your Lapras, or you can Articuno to steal the game. You know what I mean? I feel like that just sounds amazing to me. And also, Articuno gets a huge amount of value still. So I think Articuno is deadly right now. We saw Tubbs make top 16 in Liverpool with it.
Yeah.
Very similar to the list we were playing on stream, actually. And he admits that he should have played Banana Master, because Banana Master is a hero. But yeah. I think, obviously, Lapras's GX attack gets way worse, but the deck does adapt. And Fini is really cool. And Articuno is just so strong right now. Like, you guys have seen me beetling around on stream with this thing. And how many more games are there going to be? There's a turn 1 60 HP Pokemon in the active and they just bridge it, because that's what they have to do. And then you're like, cool. I'm 2 prizes, maybe 4 prizes ahead. Like, man. Articuno is just going to steal games, I think.
Absolutely. It's super strong in a format with evolutions.
And Desi Plume, Mark has put it in the bin. Therefore, everyone else should. That was your worst matchup by far. There's going to be Volks, which is fine. Vikabulu gets worse because you can't GX it, but maybe you can gust the Vikavolt or something like that with Tapu Fini. Who knows? Like, Greninja's a great matchup. You just have freedom to do whatever you want with your Articuno. And Garbodor's going down in play. So item usage is fine. So definitely jumps to tier 2 in my eyes. Definitely. Yeah. Even though Lapras gets way worse, I think positioning gets much better for you.
I just love box style decks, and I think Tapu Fini is a fantastic addition.
We could also, if Tapu Fini doesn't work out, could we play Necrozma in this guy, in this deck? No, we don't play DC. No, okay, forget it.
So much Necrozma.
I'm too keen on Necrozma, I honestly am. Okay, but the thing is, like, you can put a Lele down to 70, and then you can just 1 flip away from 3 prizes of Articuno. Think of that. Think of the juice. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Gyarados. Tier Dow.
Tier Arix. Tier Alex Dow.
What does it gain? Does it gain anything?
Nothing, right?
I mean, Guzma will help the deck, I guess. No, it doesn't even. It doesn't even help the deck. Yeah, it literally is unchanged in terms of its own list. Necrozma's the new Espeon. Maybe. Can you confirm I'll be unboxing Machamp GX on Friday? I don't know when I actually get it. I hope they arrive on Friday. Friday's the 4th, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really hope they arrive on Friday, because I'm available on Friday as well. Whereas Saturday I'm not available.
Oh, bring him to Charlie's on Saturday.
Oh, but it's so much effort to take back so many open packs. I'm already going to be opening loads at Charlie's because I've got like 8 tins at his house.
Really? Oh boy.
I've got Booloos and Cocos at his.
Oh, opening party on Saturday afternoon then.
Bring my Decidueyes as well because I sort of need them for Worlds.
Yeah, I will. Remind me on Friday night, please.
Okay, I will because, you know, I want them.
They are important.
Spoilers. I like Decidueye. But I also like Aquabox. Okay. New threats for Gyarados. Nothing really. Nothing. Not a problem. Meta placement again, under the radar.
If people are forgetting about it, people will do well with it.
I can only think of a couple of decks playing like Baby Coco. Like Ninetales will play it. Espeon's going down in play, which is great for the deck. Vikabulu, if you're copying John Roberts' list, you'll play Cocos. If not, you won't. Grandpa doesn't always play it anymore. They just go for 4 Lele instead now. Decidueye potentially is in a sort of limbo spot where we don't know how much play it will see. At least the plume is going away, so you don't have to Z-scoop. Like, under the radar. So, Necrozma is a threat. Necrozma's only to EX and GX Pokemon, so it ain't no threat for Gyarados.
No, I didn't do anything.
What tier do we put it? Outside of tier Dow. Do we also tier question mark this one?
Still think it is tier Dow.
Yeah, very much tier Dow.
Tier question mark, I wouldn't play it, but
These are the things, like Vespiquen and Gyarados, it's one of those things where you won't see it much. You won't have to test against it much, but people will just go on these runs and do well with it, right?
Alex will play it. Rahul will play Vespiquen. They'll both do really well.
Yeah.
And will look like fools.
Yeah. Fair play. Right, Gliscopod EVs is one that I wanted to write down. Because we've not profiled this yet, but Jack's got it on his list of to-dos. And
it's an interesting one.
It is. It really is. The threats for this card, not much. I think Guardy isn't easy from what we tested. Basically, it was either Gliscopod rampages to the point where you stifle their setup immediately and you win the game, or Guardy does set up and gets you. Even though you're only committing 1 energy a lot of the time, Guardy gets you. It really does, because you attach 1 energy to the active, and then you max potion on that turn whilst secret springing a bunch to the bench. And yeah, it just goes so badly for Gliscopod. If you can't, like, you literally have no response as the EV build against Guardy once they're actually there. So Guardy is a threat.
Yeah. Once they're set up, it's difficult to ever get into anything, really.
But I love the consistency of turn 1 Gliscopod in this list. Like 120 was like almost guaranteed with the deck that we were playing. And it was often 150 with a band. And
that's really good.
That's insane. It's so much tempo. And you sort of don't care about whatever they're doing because you're scoop upping, Acerola-ing, AZ-ing.
And announcing 120 to 150 every turn.
Yeah. So, winnable Volk. Good. Metagross. And Ninja.
All of these are very, very good qualities.
It's actually got a good Decidueye as well. Like a straight Deci. Because of Flareon a lot of the time, I think. Obviously they can deal with a Flareon, but it's just so much... It's a massive lack of tempo for the Decidueye deck to do that.
Yeah.
For them having to deal with a single prize dude, and especially, I think we were playing like double stretcher, so you just get it back and bop him again.
Laugh.
Would you choose to go second versus Volk with this deck? You might well do. You have to know for certain you're up against Volk. The only thing is that... No, you still don't. You definitely still don't, because you need to evolve into Vaporeon.
No, you're going to say you can't evolve Vaporeon turn 1,
Yeah,
so...
you definitely choose to go first still. Especially because you can Wimp out into Tapu Kokos, so you can protect your Gliscopod from Power Heaters, deny their early single prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, where would you put Gliscopod EVs as a tier, just off the bat?
It's got because it's got a bad Guardy.
I wouldn't call it a bad Guardy. I just don't think it's your favourite matchup. Yeah, I think I have it tier 2 as well.
It's got 4 good matchups there.
And it's just pace. It's just consistent pace.
Yeah, and sometimes you just win by announcing 120 like turn after turn. Like that's just enough sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it a lot. Okay. So Plume Box with Marshadow is a very different deck to actually how Plume Box functions, because you're actually wanting to put your Pokemon into the discard pile rather than into play. It means that you can play a really aggressive Plume variant by playing for Acrobike, for Male, for Ultra Ball, and actually getting Plume very consistently. Very, very consistently. And it actually synergizes with your Marshadow. You're going to be playing your Rainbow Energy as your DCEs, which means you're going to be playing Magearna, which already means that Plume plus Magearna probably wins you Guardy. Marshadow then having the ability to copy things like...
Exactly what you need.
Your Jolteons, your Glaceons. Your Dramper is probably going to be a one-of, so he can Righteous Edge, and in general just hit for Berserk. Because you're playing for Rainbow Energy, you can Berserk if you've got no better option. So,
yeah,
I think this is pretty good. Pretty good deck, actually. And this is also one I've not heard a lot of conversation about, to be honest. I think it's a huge buff to Plume Box. Huge buff.
Yeah, I think from my early testing is the most difficult... most difficult thing is being able to, once you've got, like the first Marshadow is really easy to get up, and because you can do it all pre-Vileplume, but sometimes I'd worry like the second Marshadow I think can sometimes be a little bit more difficult.
A lot of people saying lose to Garb, but we can just attack with Glaceon's attack, can't we?
Yeah.
Can't we do that? Can't we do that, folks? What am I missing? What am I missing? Why can't we do that? I mean, sure, then they come in with Dramper, but they're only manually attaching once per turn, and we're doing the same. So in theory, they come in with Dramper, we come in with our next Marshadow. And at the same time, you have to remember, we can actually attack with a physical Glaceon. And that has 170, so even after a Rainbow, they're down to 150, and they can't attach a Choice Band because they've been item locked. So in theory, should be fine. Dramper can Righteous Edge, correct, but we have Magearna to protect us.
And our own Dramper.
And our own Dramper doing the same thing back to them. Acid Spray.
Acid Spray does nothing.
Mark is like, oh, Magearna. Ah! Yeah, I'm thinking like double Magearna would be in the deck because you want to attack with it as well sometimes. Lele can 2-hit KO with DCE. True, it can 2-hit KO, but why are you scared of 2-hit KOs, really? It feels like it'll be a hard deck to play. If Lele's starting to attack, you can Righteous Edge, but at the same time you have to make sure they can't retreat into their Garbodor and one-bang you. It feels like it will be a hard deck to play. But it's definitely one that me and Jack like.
Yeah.
Because you have a crazy good Guardy. When you're combining one-hit KOs with item lock against it, it's crazy good. Like, this is a better Guardy than Metagross, I would feel. And it has a better Volk than Metagross. And it has a better, like, just Plume Beetles people, right? So it just feels good to me. It just feels like a good deck.
It is still a Vileplume deck, though.
It is. Have I convinced anyone? Who knows?
A lot of people, yeah. I think you're convincing people.
Tier to be tested. Oh, there's actually another thing I want to do. Gliscopod Plume. I'm just like loving Plume for Worlds. Is that so wrong? Is that so wrong that I want to play Plume? Lurantis Gliscopod? I think that's just worse than Decipod, to be honest. I go over in our video about iPod. Why I like it more than Lurantis. Mainly the nickname, but there's actual reasons as well. So Gliscopod Plume, for me it feels like a Vespiquen, a Vespivile list, but way less all in. Way more like mid-gamey than Vespivile ever was. But you're training off a little 90 HP Pokemon that gets destroyed if your opponent does get any setup to a big tanky 210.
Yeah.
That, yes, it hits 110 on the first turn, but you also have its second attack. And from my own dummy hands and testing of Gliscopod Plume, you aren't able to stream Acerolas and Guzmas even if you're playing like a 3 count of both. So you need to also play 4 DCE, so you can Energy Drive and you can use Gliscopod's 2 other attacks.
Yeah.
And this feels a lot like... This is everything I wanted Lurantis Plume to be in my head. You know how we hyped Lurantis Plume at the start of Sun and Moon? I think Gliscopod is what I always wanted the deck to be. Because you're actually pressuring 120 turn 1, and then you're pressuring a constant 100 turn 2, and you're able to switch out of your Gliscopod if you get damaged. So even if they damage you and you don't have the Acerola that turn, you can GX, hide to the bench, go into another one, and wait for your Acerola to come around. So that sounds really good. Since when is the thought thing now a tier list? I mean, we're sort of jumping between things right now.
This is just information. This is just words and thoughts and...
Mark with a Lurantis Plume face. Yeah, Ellie giggle, indeed. But this is everything I wanted from Lurantis Plume. Remember, guys? Remember how hyped I was for Lurantis Plume? Remember me doing 100 test hands to do the stats on it? Man, I'm going to do the same with Gliscopod, I can tell. It's just going to happen. You just know that it's going to happen. Tier, let me test it. Tier, let me waste my time on this and get back to you. Okay.
Tier, let me work out the stats.
Let me grind 10 hours of dummy hands. Okay, we still got a lot of decks to go and we've got half an hour, so we've got to rattle through these quick. Persimmon, Rogue tier.
Don't think it gains anything, right?
No, I'll agree with that. Gains nothing. New threats. Oh, Guardi's a problem. Oh, so is Glisserpod. Uh-oh. Doesn't look
Both
good.
one shot.
Doesn't look good for it. Less Zoro.
I think I know what Joe's playing for Worlds now.
Grandpa. So one of the big problems with well, Persimmon sort of popped up as a rogue because of its typing. Its typing gets way worse. Both the psychic typing and the fighting typing gets worse. And there's a lot of decks that will heal with max potions, Guardies and Metagrosses, and then there's like, even Decidueye will be playing Scoop Ups now, Glisserpod plays Scoop Ups and other Gust that just undoes their 130 damage. So, Simeon just gets terrible.
There's no longer the meme dreams.
Yeah, terrible in my eyes. Really terrible.
Unfortunately. Terrible.
Okay, Tapu Koko. This is also Rogue. Oh god, Mark's going to get tilted when we start talking about this. It does gain a bunch. Scoop Up and Acerola is insane for the deck. It does push it, for certain. But where does it push it is the question. Where does it push this card? Guardi is an issue, because it can one-bang.
Yes.
And will one-bang it all the time.
Yes, and the whole idea of Tapu Koko is to tank.
So does Necrozma. If you're playing it in Metagross. Like, there's still too many one-hit KOs in the format. And there's still going to be Greninja as well, which stops everything good about Tapu Koko as well. Only good next format. I will agree with you, Mark. I will say, keep waiting on this guy. Not for Worlds, people. Not for Worlds. Xerneas. Dear God.
Is it really though?
So what do we gain? What do we gain with this deck? Frickin' Guzma. So I'm not relying on just 3 Fairy Gardens. Get in the deck now. Okay. New threats. Okay. It's actually not that bad against Guardi or Glisserpod. Glisserpod is capped at 110. So it's only Decipod that would be potentially an issue. And similarly to Guardi, to Metagross, Guardi is a stage 2 deck that takes a while to get going. We will only be committing 1 energy to our active for the first few turns because we'll be Geomancying up. So their commitment has to be 4 energy. So it's more often than not a turn 3 knockout on our first single prize Pokemon, which is good for us because we get a load of Geomancies going, basically. So, actually, it suits Xerneas quite nicely, this format, to be honest. How does Guzma interact with Regirock? It will switch your Pokemon to the bench. That's what it'll do. You've just Acerola'd... No, sorry, you've just Olympia'd for no heal. That's what you've done there, Doomsday. I mean, you could just run 4 Fairy Gun. I don't think there's space for 4, man. Show me the space. Show me the space. Maybe there is a space. Who knows? We'll work on it. So yeah. less Zoroark, which was the auto win that we wanted. Less Garb potentially, but new stuff isn't an issue either. Really, my concern is whether Volk starts getting greedier because of less. In theory, there's less Garbodor around. I still think there'll be Grandpa at Worlds, but in theory, there's less. So in theory, decks can start getting greedier again and going back to higher Elixir counts. And if they are the players playing key our way, that's when Xerneas gets absolutely beadled. Any deck that can put out turn 2 pressure against us is really bad. I think we'd probably have to play Tex again. I think Sudowoodo might be the one I'd go for, or Giratina promo. Because Ninja ain't fun. Or instead of... There's actually Charlie's favourite, Machoke could be in here as well. Because Decidueye is naturally a hard matchup. If you play Machoke in the deck, you are 2 stage 1s, which is kind of clunk. But you can at least bridge it out the Machop and get going and stuff. So keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on this guy. I'm giving it the tier 0+.
Tier custard cream.
Tier 0+ creamy.
Oh, this tier list has gone from numbers to... I don't think we've had a tier and...
Can't they still target the active for Machoke? They can indeed. They can indeed. But it doesn't hurt you, right?
That's fine.
It means that they're only ever taking knockouts. Well, it
They
means
can only take one prize at a time.
it means that they're much more likely to proc the EXP share as well, which is really important for you.
Why is it as Parallel City being played? I feel it's actually deck space more than anything. Your device isn't fully protected, Joe.
I know. I'm gutted. Okay. Rainbow Force. Our first tier 4 deck.
5. Tier 5 deck.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
It won seniors somewhere.
It won internats, seniors internats. That's fair.
Be careful.
No,
Joe.
juniors internats.
Juniors, yeah.
Seniors.
Yeah. Seniors was Ninja,
Seniors
right?
was Ninja, yeah.
It's tier junior.
Oh. I just think the decks are worse, Ray.
Does it get anything new? No.
No.
New threats. Wait, new Xerneas Breaker's 120, right?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Wait, what?
Rainbow Force Xerneas is 120.
Yeah. Guardy one-bangs it for attaching an energy.
Wishful Baton. Really not going to happen. It gets Darkrai GX. That's true. Darkrai GX Smeargle combo. Let's go.
No. I don't even think... Is Smeargle even still in format?
Probably not. I don't know. Let's check.
Someone with PTCGO open. Check whether Smeargle's in format. I think it is.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it
in
was
Breakthrough.
Fates.
It's Breakthrough.
Oh, I thought it was in Fates.
What a card.
I just have no enthusiasm about talking about this deck.
Tier play Ray. That's what we'll Noivern chat. Let's go.
Meta placement doesn't matter, it's bad.
Noivern Jack.
Item lock is a beetle. I need to see your latest list, actually. I need to get the sweet OmniPoke inside gossip before the video goes up.
But to be honest, is anyone actually going to play Noivern for Worlds? It feels like it's a super risker.
Risk it like a biscuit.
Noivern Decidueye. That could be pretty cool. By cool, I mean clunky.
That sounds clunky as hell, yeah.
Decidueye Toad is clunky enough and expanded, so I don't know how you're making that work in standard with a stage 1.
Oh, now Forest banned. I'm never gonna get to play Toad Decidueye. I was so excited about that deck.
Pokepanis, you reckon you can beat Guardy with Noivern with weakness policy? My main win condition I've come up with for Noivern is just the good old Devolve combo. Because Noivern itself does 50 to everything, you can play either Golbats or Coco spread and then go for the Devolve. I don't think Guardy's the biggest issue for Noivern, weirdly enough. I think Volk is the biggest issue for Noivern. Yeah, I played Tapu Koko. I played double Baby Coco in our list, and 4 DCE and 4 DDE. The list is going up tonight. It's going up after this. Actually, I need to crop some bits, so it might be
early morning tomorrow.
Might be early morning tomorrow that it comes up, so don't stay up all night, guys.
Where is it? Where is the list?
It depends how long it takes to crop. YouTube always takes so long to crop, like the first 3 seconds and the last 3 seconds of a video. It's so weird. But it always does. Because it's me just basically clicking around the screen, coughing before I...
We are looking into getting some editing software, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. But anyway. I've got a fascination with Noivern. I really do. There's only...
Item lock is good.
There's only... The thing is, there's 2 weeks till Worlds. Do I have time to make the perfect list of Noivern?
Make Noivern great again.
I don't think I do.
It's a big challenge.
I'm already trying to build Gliscopod Plume, Marshadow Box, Decidueye, Ninja. Just kidding. But you know, I've got enough on my plate to worry about Noivern. What do we think, guys?
This is the only shot to play Noivern, YOLO. That's true. There's no playing Noivern after this weekend or a couple of weekends' time.
I just think it would be easier because the strength of Noivern, right? The strength is obviously Item Lock. Item Lock wins games. That's basically the tagline of Noivern. That's everyone's like, maybe it could work just because Item Lock, basically. And I've already mentioned 2 other Item Lock decks that I'm more enthusiastic about, to be honest. So maybe it is just Binder a Clock for this guy. Save myself the headache.
But there is that little feeling, isn't there? I know it because I know you. You want to make a good Noivern list. Jack, I'm playing Noivern Garb with basic Dark and Psychic Energy. Ugh.
Noivern, Survivor, Aridos, Chaos Tower. You don't even need Chaos Tower, to be honest, because you have free retreat on your Noivern.
Just go into a different one.
Yeah. Or you let yourself get damage so you can pop a Sorola. Makes no sense, but sure. They'll hit you. Don't worry. They'll hit you. Noivern Dark as your E-switch. Think of the Noivern World Champs deck when you win. I mean, is Galissapod Plume or Marshadow Box not spicy enough as a world's winning deck? Who knows? I've only got 2 weeks to grind this game to hell. And I can't really grind until Friday anyway.
Then Saturday and Sunday you can't.
I'm bringing my laptop.
Okay, fair enough.
Sunday I'll be grinding. I'm going back quite early Sunday because I need to get back to my dogs. So my parents are out for the weekend.
Fair enough. 2 weeks of grinding for 404 at Worlds.
Oh. Bit harsh.
The World's winning deck, but I used some crazy Worlds exclusive promo like Tropical Beach did. I would imagine it would just be Champions Festival again, right?
Yeah, I think they've made their mistake with making a good promo. And they're just
And then
not...
made the mistake again by reprinting it the next year.
Well, they thought that was fixing it by just making it more available, but it didn't really.
It just gave the good players more of them.
Yeah. I don't know, what if Joe bubbles day 2? Let's not start this, guys.
Because he plays Noivern.
It's still fragile. It's still emotional for me. It's too soon. What about Noivern EVs? That is an option that I mentioned in the video. Yes, it does improve your Volcanion, but the thing is you're still hitting 160 with Band, and obviously that's still not one-shotting stuff. So you don't actually improve your Volk too much, which is a shame. So the EVs, I think, are better placed to improve other matchups, actually. Like, the Vaporeon would be the one you want the most, because it's most important to improve your Volk. But it doesn't actually improve it a huge amount. Unless you do, like, a GX attack at some point in the game to set up a couple that you've hit for 160.
Yeah.
Or a Coco spread again. And if you're fitting in the EVs, you don't really have space for Necrozma Coco. No, sorry, not Necrozma Coco. Coco Espeon. I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, I think it's headache. Someone will do well with it. Someone's going to break Noivern. I can see it happening. It's just the sad reality that it's not going to be me. Beetle. Man, this is a long ass list. So how many decks have I written? 29 decks for Worlds. And I've got to narrow this down to 1 in 2 weeks.
That may not even be on this list.
It may not even be on this list. Has Noivern done well in Japan? Don't think so. Don't think it's done too well. What do I think of Vikavolt GX? I think I'd prefer just playing Vikabulu.
Yeah.
I think Vikabulu is like fine, like really pretty good. I don't think I'd be tempted to play GX. Charlie, please help me.
We'll have a discussion this weekend. We'll find something.
I was going to say, we made Banter Box last time. I think this year is the year of Beetle Box.
It's got to be. Beetlebox has to be a thing. And when you win, you have to call it Beetlebox.
Well, then I'm playing Marshadow. Then I'm playing Shadowbox, right? And just calling it Beetlebox, surely.
Beetlebox.
Mega Beetle EX. Noiva, Mega Ray can't play DC after Noiva on second attack. That's correct. Wait, hold on. Let me read McGinner. Wait.
No, with McGinner out, it can still attach DCE. Wait, no.
Of your opponent's attacks, accept damage onto each of your Pokemon that has any metal energy attached to it.
No, you still can't.
It's not like a Ranger effect, is it?
No, I'm thinking of Marowak.
It's
like,
you yourself attaching the energy rather than...
Yeah, compare it to Marowak.
Yeah,
because Marowak says about the player's hand.
Professional streamers.
Hey, we're not the ones with emotes.
We don't have emotes, Mark, I'm afraid.
When we get emotes, that's when you can call us professional streamers.
We're just casuals. Filthy casuals. So, let's start trimming away some fat here. Let's start writing off some decks that at least I won't be playing. Gyarados, that's only for Alex. Ninetales we'll keep for now. Greninja I'm going to get rid of.
Oh, it's so small, Joe.
Is it?
Yeah. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah. I can go back to where I was, to be honest.
Every tier 1 to 2 deck will be red now.
Okay. Plume in the bin. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh god. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, 7, 8, 9. So that still leaves me with 20 decks. So, you know. We're not there yet.
Nay to the reds.
I think Vespiquen also feels like a deck that I need to commit too much time to play. Ray, I don't think is the one for me, even though it's potentially
I don't think you enjoy
good.
playing Ray.
Espeon I haven't figured out. Ninetales I don't think is good enough. I think you need to get the meta spot on to play Ninetales.
Yeah, fair.
Volk I'm never going to play.
I'm going to say, is Volk still is Volk not highlighted? Because I feel like it should be.
Metagross, I mean...
It's so boring. Don't play Vikabuda or Metagross.
I'm actually going to red out Guardy.
Why?
I'm not going to play it.
Me and you had this discussion.
I'm not going to play it.
Me and you had this discussion.
We both know I'm not going to play it.
When Guardy wins Worlds.
That's fine. It's law of averages. There'll be so many Guardy players. Someone will make it.
There you go. Mark saying it exactly. Guardy is too good. I understand. I think this is the deck that needs to break the cycle, Joe.
Mark was just slagging it off earlier today as well.
You need to embrace the target.
Unbelievable.
You need to embrace the target.
I was the one defending it in our chat earlier today while it was getting slagged off. And now here I am reading it out. Alongside Persimmon.
You need to embrace the target you would take. You can't write the deck off, surely.
It's in red, mate.
Its power level is so high. It's over 9,000.
It's a good shade for it. More colours. This is a job for more colours. That's such an ugly colour. Okay. Still good for me. Mark. You're killing me, man. Make it pink. Oh, yeah. I am colourblind, so I'm actually trying my best to find pink here, guys. This is literally the struggles of a man. God's sake. Right, there's pink around here somewhere. There we go. Bloody hell. Gliscod EVs feels too fair to me. Let's read it out. Gliscod Plume sounds more unfair. And the same for Decidueye. Gliscod. I feel like if I'm playing Gliscod, it's Plume, because it feels like the most unfair build of Gliscod. Xerneas break. Shall I go down this road again? Jesus. Just going to Worlds for the Anaheim Open.
Okay, scroll back up to the top, Jay. Scroll back up to the top.
Okay, Grandpa has still been left there.
You're not gonna play Grandpa.
Why not?
Oh.
It's not got the target on its head anymore, and it's still at the same power level. Maybe.
I could see you playing. Oh.
How's it beating Guardy? With Ability Lock and Necrozma and Espeon EX.
Sounds complex.
Not really.
No, I think it can do it.
But at the same time, you have said that a max potion basically ruins the Necrozma players.
I think as long as they keep one Guardy, they're fine. Because that gives them a turn to develop another route, which develops into another Guardy.
Okay. Decitails, just from experience, I know what I'm doing with the deck. It has to be a consideration.
Yes, without a doubt.
I need to figure out how bad the damage removal is from other decks to see if it's playable or not. Okay? Vikabulu, I think, is a pretty good place deck. But maybe it's too risky. This is getting cut. It's getting cut.
It's also really boring.
It's not about boring, though. I'm trying to win a tournament here.
I know, but you've pinked out Guardy.
Decitails, definite consideration.
Yes, I agree.
Guardy, bend my arm and I'll play the best deck. Aquabox, obviously it's close to my heart, and I will definitely test Tapu Fini and see if it is enough, because I feel it's
really
an
like
underrated
Tapu Fini.
card. I think it's really underrated. Gliscod Plume, again, it's one that I'm going to do a bunch of test hands with and turn ones, and then if the turn ones are appealing, I'll test it online, because it's everything I've ever wanted in a Plume deck, to be honest. It is everything I've ever wanted in a Plume deck. Plume, Marshadow box, or whatever. Plume box. It sounds complicated. It does sound complicated. Aquabox hates Gliscod. That's true. That's true.
Shadowbox feels very fragile.
Shadowbox again feels like we need to have the perfect 60. And it's going to be hard to make the perfect 60.
That sounds difficult.
It'll go up on the channel. And we'll see. We'll see if it's the perfect 60. I'm not going to read it out because I believe... I mean, item lock is... I think it's a great way to get through day one. I don't think you'll ever have a negative record if I play an item lock deck. You know what I mean? I feel...
These are big statements.
I feel like I have a high... what's the thing? Not ceiling. The opposite to a ceiling. A high floor. If I play a Plume deck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've been reading Kettler's articles.
Yeah. And then there's Xerneas Beetle Break.
I don't think you'll ever read that out, so...
I mean, I know the weaknesses of the deck. It does piss me off at times.
But
it's just so easy to play, and we have got a good list now. That it could be the one. Oh, shut up, Skype. Stop talking nonsense now. So, well, I mean, I'm a lot closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decks. That's pretty achievable to work down to 1 in 2 weeks.
we've got this weekend to chat as well.
Xerneas is not a deck you use playing to win a tournament. What makes you say that, Budacast?
The pink means what is the best pick, right? Yeah, exactly. It's like one of the 3 or 4 decks that we've got tier 1 next to, and Joe just blanked it out.
Most decks are tier 3. That's true. Oh, Aquabox would be such a fun weekend if I just played Aquabox, wouldn't it? Wouldn't I just have fun playing Aquabox all weekend?
You'd face every single decidual Anguillisapod in the room.
It was so sad that I saw Tubbs do really well with basically my list as well. And I was like, I've tested so much of this deck. This could be me. And he got to have fun all weekend as well. Imagine that.
What are the chances?
Who knows?
Seems sketchy.
But I just win games on Articuno. It's just over. Who knows? One of these plume builds I'm going to have to really think hard about as well.
Jam some time into.
I think I'll commit a lot of time to Glisopod Plume. Maybe not much Shadowbox. Because I think it is kind of bitty and needs to be perfect a lot of the time. Not only
I think it feels fragile.
Not only in the list, but also the gameplay has to be perfect, and, well, it's me we're talking about here.
Have you seen this guy on stream?
Have you seen me? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's 12 o'clock, and I'm actually surprised that we were able to talk about this for so long. But there's actually, like, a lot of considerations.
We've done a stream without playing a game of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which honestly feels fine after playing 9 rounds this weekend.
Yeah. And it just means that next Wednesday, it'll be me on my own. Jack won't be here.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not here next week.
But we'll start grinding some of these lists out and start seeing how it goes.
I'll probably be in the chat and stuff, but won't be able to talk. But then the week after, we will indeed, of course, have our post Burning Shadows best of 9, as we did with Guardians Rising. That'll give us a bit more time to get cards and stuff as well.
Wait, the following Wednesday I'll be going to Worlds. I'll be flying the following Wednesday.
Ooh.
Okay, so we'll have to save our first to 9 till
Either that
post-rotation.
Either that or we have the stream a day earlier or something.
I don't know if I'm free, but we'll see.
We'll work something out. If not, I'll be streaming if I'm free on the...
And keep an eye out, guys. Keep an eye out for this Friday, where hopefully I'll get my my boxes, and I'll crack them open if I do.
Oh yeah, let us know if you do.
So we'll put it on the Twitch and the Facebook and all that good stuff, and if you guys follow us, you'll get a notification. So yeah, good stuff, guys. Cheers for joining in. Final
thing from me, I guess both of us. It's not on the stream at the moment, but Flipside Gaming currently has a promotional deal with us. and also have started doing articles. And my first article went up about 4 hours ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So go and check that out, and you can get some sweet discounts on some cards as well if you fancy trying to get some new stuff.
It's a really good article, to be fair. So you can find it through the OmniPoke Facebook, or you can just go to
it's on the
Flipside
Facebook
Gaming.
and the Twitter, or just go to flipsidegaming.com.
Mm-hmm.
Go and have a look.
All right, guys, that'll do for today. It's a bit different to normal, but hopefully it was entertaining. More entertaining than just playing.
Someone's demanding a pack opening after last week.
I'm not even on PTGO, and I just want to go to bed, so
Fair enough.
we'll sack it off. We can do some good new pack openings next week, and there'll be actual hype, because I'll need stuff, rather than just me saying, oh look, we got another rare that I have 10 of. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in and sticking with us. And
hopefully you enjoyed this stream. Bit different.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.